Are we on?
We are on.
It's official. We're here.
Welcome to the stream, everybody. We did this 2 years ago when Donald Trump was soundly defeated, and it went very well. So we are here. Thank you for joining us. Here's how the night's going to work. We're going to be here for at least an hour, maybe two, maybe three, who knows. The general election in 2020, we went for 5 hours and 17 minutes. I do not foresee that taking place because we recorded a podcast, an episode of I Doubt It podcast today. And my voice, as you may be able to tell, is already starting to give up the ghost. So
you have your tea ready, though.
I turned the whole cancer thing turned me into a tea guy. So I wasn't allowed to drink caffeine for a while, and it got me on tea, which I like.
A tea guy.
So here's how the night's going to work. One, I'm joined today by the lovely, talented, and indeed scholarly Brittany Page, my wife and podcast co-host, who now has her own YouTube channel. I would highly recommend that you go subscribe to that. The night's not going to be consisting of all plugs, though. We have a little bit of video to play. We are learning right now that Ron DeSantis has been projected the winner of the gubernatorial race in Florida. That is a bummer, but it was expected. So we're going to talk about some races. We're going to talk about some different statistics. We're going to put up projections up on the screen. We're going to be answering questions and putting comments up on the board. I haven't even asked if we're actually.
We look good. I think everyone can hear us. There's been no
concerns. That's what I was.
There's no concerns that anyone is bringing up in the comments. I've been watching, so I'm going to be watching the comments. If you have questions as they come up, if you want to talk about what it was like to vote today, where you are, feel free to do that. I'm going to be putting a little star next to comments and saving them. So if we don't get to your question immediately, know that I'm trying to make a list so that we can get to them throughout the night.
They get put into a folder. So even if it takes 15 or minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever, we will get to your question. So rest assured, you will be addressed. We love you guys. We appreciate you very much. Thanks for joining us tonight. A big night for America, a big night for American democracy. This has been the culmination of obviously 2 years. This is the first time to go to the polls since the attempted overthrow of the United States government by way of overturning a free and fair, settled American election. And we're going to really witness here the priorities of the American people. We're going to witness whether or not a little bit of inflation, the risk of what could have been a recession, but did not happen, is more important than securing American democracy for future generations. Unfortunately, that is the position we are in, and it is indeed the position that we are in. So, what do you want to do first?
Well, it looks like so far 31% of the vote is in for the Warnock race, and he is ahead quite a bit. I think that is expected in the early stages because Democrats tend to vote through mail-in ballots.
That's right.
And so that is likely why we're seeing him ahead for now, but hopefully that continues, as you can see on the screen there with Herschel Walker with his very official badge, you guys. It's very official. Do not laugh at it. It is not a prop. He is an actual officer of the law. Okay.
I mean, if you needed any more reason not to vote for a cop, there you go. You don't want to vote for a real cop or a fake cop. Maybe that's going out on a limb. All the cops in my audience are flicking off their YouTube channels and their Facebook pages all over the country.
Well, we don't want to have to, in our reporting, talk about Herschel Walker being a senator from Georgia. So please, let's have Raphael Warnock continue to be ahead as the votes continue to be counted. That would be great.
That would be great.
So let's talk about, I guess, how you're feeling generally about the midterms.
I thought it was going to be more cancer talk.
No, we're moving away from the cancer talk for now.
I'm feeling good in that regard.
We both have our voted stickers. We voted. Wouldn't it be shameful if we didn't vote?
Oh shit, we were planning for this. We forgot. We did not. We voted today, dropped our ballots off in a drop box here in Washington, D.C. And we feel good about that. I tell you what, it is very strange living in a city where we pay taxes, we are American citizens, and we are not represented in Congress. It was very strange to cast a vote for Eleanor Holmes Norton here in Washington, D.C., and know that she does not have a vote. Therefore, we are not represented. Bizarre to me. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, we did start on time. The entire audience has Jonathan Brinksman to thank. He was going to make us wait a half hour because he couldn't get home in time, but he made it home. We hope you're safe there, Jonathan. And we did start on time. So thank you for allowing us to do that.
So we got a comment that, did we mention that DeSantis won? We did mention that, Patrick.
Yes.
So we talked about how, unfortunately, DeSantis looks like the winner. That was expected.
It was expected.
So over Charlie Crist.
So
right?
so here's the deal. A lot of times people who are, I don't want to say not versed in, but people who treat politics like a sport, and rather than be an umpire, they want to be a cheerleader. And people will get angry that if you say it was expected that DeSantis was going to win over Charlie Crist. Let's suspend all that tonight. We want to be calling balls and strikes here. We want to deal with reality on reality's terms. And just because we're announcing that he won, and just because we acknowledge that it was very likely he was going to win, doesn't mean we are rooting for that turd.
So they are talking about right now the governor's race in Georgia between Stacey Abrams and Brian Kent, and there's a libertarian candidate.
Yeah.
And apparently people are voting for him.
Well, hopefully he will siphon off votes from Brian Kemp.
Hopefully. And Stacey Abrams is ahead. It looks like 39,000, just over 39,000 votes with 35% reporting. So Georgia had a really good turnout as far as early voting. Some records were broken as far as midterm voting records for early voting. More than 2.5 million in-person and absentee ballots were cast in Georgia as of Friday.
As of Friday. That's not counting Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or today. That was as of the end of last week, that many votes. That's huge.
Right. And in the 2018 midterms, there were 1.8 million Georgia voters that cast their ballots during early voting, and 2.6 million voted early in the 2020 presidential election. So we're seeing presidential election rates
That's
of
right.
early voting in Georgia. So
Now,
that also hopefully is a good sign.
A lot of people don't know, but it seems, I've never understood it, that the vote turnout for a general election for the presidential vote years dwarfs midterm elections. I don't understand it. I know that's the case, but it should tell you something. It is good news that people are activated, people are passionate, whether it has been the overturning of Roe v. Wade, or whether it has been the steady march to fascism in America and the threatening of democracy itself. We don't know. But the fact that early voting, which is heavily populated by Democrats and people who vote liberal, the fact that there's so many votes, it does bode well. I don't know. I'm not going to be making a bunch of predictions tonight, but I do predict that the Stacey Abrams race, she's on screen here, it will be a lot tighter than people think.
It's funny that you said there's going to be not a lot of predictions tonight, because that's a question that we got here from Scott Phillips. What are your predictions? And you already said you're not going to be making...
Come on, Scott, you're putting me on the spot, brother.
I think actually in 2020, you had a fantastic track record for your predictions.
In 2020, I did.
Yeah.
But not in 2016.
I mean, it was like expert level prognostication happening right here on the live stream. Why are you afraid of predictions now?
Well, I'm
Jesse?
not necessarily afraid of making predictions. It's just, I tell you what, Scott, and then we'll take your question down. I will be more comfortable making predictions as I see kind of the taste in the water, to see exactly how people feel, get a pulse, put the old thermometer in the rectum here and take the country's temperature, I'll be more comfortable. But early on, it's so tough, especially in a state like Georgia. I've rambled on enough. So,
well, we got a nice comment from Ian, friend of the show. Ian, don't know that I'm going to put it up, but I'll give him a shout out.
Why not?
It's about your feet.
My feet?
Yes.
I'm barefoot. What's?
Yeah.
Put it up. Jesse Post feet. So this is a personal friend. This is a little inside baseball here. Someone I consider a good friend
really
who doesn't know how to spell my name. It is not Jessi. Now I'm bringing this on myself, where it's going to be a bunch of Jessys and double E's and everything else. I will not post my feet.
Welcome to...
I can't even get them up.
Welcome to life as a Brittany. Yes. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for that. Shout out to Rob. You are my emotional support YouTubers tonight. That is very nice. Thank you. It's going to be kind of casual. We're going to be taking your questions, comments. We have the TV on so that we can see when they call key races, and we will keep you updated as we go through it. But we're also just wanting to talk about how you guys are feeling about things, what you're seeing, how it was today for you voting. So be sure to send your comments, and I will be reading them and starring them as we go. You know, there were several concerning things that we saw today, though. There were some problems with election voting machines in Arizona, unfortunately. And this became, for the Republicans, something that they could really prop up as a sinister plot to interfere with Republicans' ability to win in Arizona. And there were several key players here, but I think Kari Lake is one of them, the actual candidate for governor in Arizona, who is very scary, very Trump-like. She has referred to herself as Trump in a dress.
Right.
And she took that opportunity to already talk about before. I mean, what time was it in Arizona? Like 2 p.m. at this time?
Oh, yeah. The conspiracies are wild already.
Yeah, she called a press conference and was already alluding to election fraud.
My ballot into a box and they would drive it downtown to count it. This is not normal stuff. We don't have to have elections run this way. We switched from a Republican area to vote. We came right down into the heart of liberal Phoenix to vote because we wanted to make sure that we had good machines. And guess what? They've had zero problems with their machines today. Not one machine spit out a ballot here today. Not one, in a very liberal area. So we were right to come and vote in a liberal area. They gotta fix this problem. This is incompetency. I hope it's not malice, but we're gonna fix it. We're gonna win. And when we win, there's gonna be come to Jesus for elections in Arizona. There's gonna be a come to Jesus.
That is scary. That has been, by the way, followed by, we've got video of Charlie Kirk. We've got video of Mike Lindell, the My Pillow goof with Steve Bannon. We've got video of Brett Baer, the straight newsman, not one of the entertainers like Hannity or Laura Ingraham or the Nazi Tucker Carlson. The actual straight news guy is doing the same thing, I think, in a more audacious way than what you just witnessed with Kari Lake. Watch this from Brett Baer on Fox News.
I knew that this election was going to happen. You know, I mean,
right. Oh, you mean maybe we've been getting ready for it for a while?
How about we fix the machines? I mean, why is this happening? Can we get our head around? There are going to be problems all over the country, some problems, but for it to happen here, for it to happen now in this way is kind of strange.
So a couple of things.
That's the straight news guy. That's the credible journalism of Fox News. There's no reporting there. All he's saying is, oh, wow, for it to happen like this? Very strange. Is it strange, Brett Baer? Is it strange that when you dust off the voting machine every 2 years, it's not like they're being used all the time, and then all of a sudden, all the traffic goes in? There's going to be glitches. There always is glitches. Why does it have to be strange? Why does it have to be a conspiracy? Well, the reason spoiler alert, it's because Republicans need it to be. I have the hiccups. Republicans need there to be doubt so they can ratchet up fear and lack of confidence in the structure of our democracy.
It's the same thing that we're seeing in the aftermath of the attack on Paul Pelosi, where these conservative commentators
Just asking questions
and elected Republican officials are floating conspiracy theories about there being a third person in the House, about Megyn Kelly was just tweeting about how NBC News reportedly pulled reporting they had about Paul Pelosi answering the door and not immediately telling the police that he was in trouble and needed help. Oh, shocking that someone like in a life and death situation who is about to have a hammer in their head is not immediately like, oh, I need help, because they're traumatized and they're scared. There's plenty of explanations aside from the fact he knew this person. But this is what they do. They go on Fox News, use their position as a quote unquote straight journalist, which is what Bret Baier is reportedly supposed to be. And he floats conspiracies of election fraud with no evidence by just saying, it's interesting that this would happen in Arizona at this time, in this place. Why would something like this happen? Well, because it happens.
Yeah. Listen, democracy is sloppy. It's messy. You've heard this said before. Anything run by human beings is sloppy and messy and fraught with mistakes and problems like this. It just happens. To act like there's a conspiracy afoot, it's just really strange. It is not just bad journalism, which it absolutely is. It's bad Americanism. It's bad for the country. It's bad democracy. To cast doubt with such a wide net is dangerous, especially in the time that we are today. So we can just play these clips and talk about some of the doubt that came out today. Here's Charlie Kirk. Really putting himself in some legal jeopardy by implicating that Bill Gates is ahead of or has some role to play in what he thinks is fraud related to these votes.
Oh, Steve, I think Kari Lake's going to be just fine. I think Blake is in the fight for his life. But I'm telling you right now, if Blake Masters loses by 5,000 or 10,000 votes, it'll be because of the voter suppression by design because of Bill Gates and Stephen Richards. So I hope those people at the Maricopa County Recorder's Office, I hope they have some explanation. This is stuff of a criminal nature.
Hold it. You're saying, I want to make sure we're clear here, Charlie. You're saying this is not incompetence. You think this is malfeasance.
I have predicted for a couple of weeks, the only thing they have up their sleeve is a created traffic jam where they run out of ballots, they run out of ink, the machines don't work. Steve, we are the wealthiest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. And you're trying to tell me that after all of this and all the public pressure, they can't figure it out?
Again, dangerous. And Republicans need this to be the narrative because if they, as they've said before, if they lose, it was fraud. If they win, it was fair and square. Gross. So, well, go ahead. Yeah.
We have a comment that I was going to put up. I don't know if you want me to put it up over the video.
No.
All right. This is from...
I read this.
This is...
The result, not the question.
Yeah. This is from... See, now I'm doing what you do when you have to read the usernames and you struggle on your live streams.
W. Guitrick.
Thank you. MTG is the projected winner. What thought process do you go through when voting for MTG? Glad you are doing good, Jesse.
See? Ian!
Brittany, I am subscribed. Thank you. Thank you so much for subscribing to my new YouTube channel. That is awesome.
Well, first of all, thank you for the super chat very much. Every little bit goes a long way to fund the production and what we do here. And we are humbled that you would be interested enough and find value enough in what we do to give of your hard-earned money. It means a lot, and it is not lost. Every single dollar we appreciate.
Absolutely.
So listen, I am generally very optimistic. I am generally a positive thinker kind of a person. It is just the way I'm wired. But the longer we go, The older I get, the more and more elections that I witness, that I bear witness to, the less faith I have in Americans. The fact that you can walk into a polling station in a voting booth and cast your ballot for Marjorie Taylor Greene. The fact that Raphael Warnock is a candidate on the ballot, and Herschel Walker has over 250,000 people cast their ballot for him. That is shocking, and it doesn't speak well about the people in those districts, whether it be Marjorie Taylor Greene's or Georgia in general at large, because of those numbers of people who jettison reason, are completely devoid of empathy for their fellow Americans, and are voting for people who want to, as practically their explicitly stated objective, destroy our country and marginalized people who live here. It's gross.
Yes, it is very scary, because Kevin McCarthy has also said that Marjorie Taylor Greene will be treated like any other elected member of Congress when it comes to getting committee assignments. So we can all look forward to that. Yes. Very exciting. There are more comments about feet now because of Ian. So thank you, Ian, I guess. Yes.
Well, we're over 1,000 people watching, so maybe there's a lot of feet lovers in the house.
So just wanted to put this up for Jesse. Why am I a curly-headed feather duster? This is kind of a follow-up on...
It's not curly-headed. It's googly-eyed feather duster.
There we go. This is
It's what I call Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson, yes.
A smooth-skinned, soft-skinned, smooth-brained rube. He's a haircut.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. So abortion is on the ballot in 5 states. If you live in these 5 states, you probably know that, hopefully, and you voted. Michigan, California, Kentucky, Montana, Vermont. There's been a lot of criticism for Democrats, if you have been watching any news channel at all, about the focus on abortion leading up to the elections and not enough focus on the economy. Jesse, do you have thoughts about that criticism of the Democrats focusing on abortion and not focusing enough on the economy?
Well, I think that too often things get made to be too simplistic, as though we can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Obviously, there are tweaks that need to be put into place from policy perspective to make the economy stronger and better, and to get over this hump, the ripple effect of the damaging effects on the supply chain and everything else relative to the coronavirus that really just threw a wrench into everything. But to act like we can't focus on the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the expulsion of 50 years of precedent, and dragging us back to the 1950s, where women were second-class citizens who had to get permission to get a credit card from their husband. This is the America that the GOP wants. It is what they are trying to engineer for the country. And people who act like you got to only focus on the economy it's bananas to me. It doesn't make any sense, because of the fact that human rights, civil rights are on the ballot. They are what is at stake right now. And if you don't have the rights to make a bodily autonomy decisions for yourself, who cares if you're paying $1 more per pound for chicken? Let's deal with what's important all at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, stated more succinctly,
Wow.
Abortion.
Wow, I'm getting shit on.
Abortion is an economic issue. And maybe that could have been more clearly stated and illustrated, as you just did with various examples. But maybe it's not something that people know automatically. So we got a comment here from your buddy.
My buddy.
Friend of the show.
Farron Cousins. Hey, Jesse and Brittany. Great coverage so far. Farron, I'm now learning, by the way, and this is good to know, brother, that you are a fan of the exclamation point.
Ooh.
I am also a big fan, an overuser, unabashed overuser of the exclamation point.
Yes. Well, thank you, Farron. Very kind.
And by the way, Farron has a larger footprint online than I do, than we do. If you're not already subscribed to Fair and Balance and Ring of Fire on YouTube, you need to go and remedy that situation, because there are few people in this space, in this genre on YouTube that I identify with and think do a very, very good job. And he is absolutely one of them. You are one of them, as I get all sappy and emotional.
Yes. Very nice. So thank you for that comment. Very kind. And did you play the Mike Lindell clip? Should we play the Mike Lindell clip?
I did not. Now, listen.
Is it because it's going to upset everyone and ruin everyone's night?
It might not ruin everybody's night. We are equal opportunity shitter uponers. So we're gonna tear this apart. But I think that this really goes to the state of the modern Republican Party, that it is not just the party of white supremacy. It is not just the party of anti-LGBTQ population. It's not just the party of bigotry. It's also the party of conspiracy. It's also the party of allowing the crackpots, it's the inmates to run the prison, or the patients to run the hospital. That is what they've done, and they're running with that as a strategy because they're seeing that it works, that they're low information, no information, uneducated, low educated, poorly educated. We love them. They know that is their base, and there are no rules anymore about being fact-checked. In fact, in order to own the libs, they'll say the most insane things. And here we are with Mike Lindell being given a platform by Steve Bannon.
Fill out the ballot and throw it in a box over in the corner. Mike Lindell.
Well, it's not just there. It's coming out all over. We have teams on the ground all over the country, Steve. In Maricopa, we have teams there. There's up to 50% of the ballots are getting rejected with the machine. This is going to be the big crime story of the year when all this comes out. But you just were talking about the corrupt Maricopa Board of Supervisors. They have to go. I mean, this is disgusting. But Steve, I'm getting reports in Kansas. They're going in to vote in Kansas and on the machines, and it literally, they got done. This one gal, she flipped her votes, and we know this person. She's one of our team people, and it flipped it right in real time. So she did it 3 times. She pulled over Steve in Colorado, all over Colorado. They're running. They got it out to the. They got it out to the commissioners. They're actually.
So, how convenient that one of Mike Lindell's soldiers on the ground had this happen to her. Again, no evidence, no proof. All they have are claims, wild conspiratorial claims with nothing to back them up. We have witnessed Mike Lindell. Donald Trump's going to be put back into the presidency in, March, and then it was April and May, and then August, then November. None of that ever happened because it's extra constitutional. There's no mechanism to reinsert someone who lost the election. But you have him making claims. I mean, we did a video this last week about him making claims that he has people who were witnessing the ballots through their machines in Brazil. He acts like he has this team of experts everywhere knowing what's going on. But again, remember, there's never any evidence of anything. The Supreme Court that was supposed to see all the evidence, they haven't even brought it because it's all lies. All they have to do is make the claim, and the unwashed minions in the Republican Party just swallow it hook, line, and sinker.
So now Brian Kemp is leading Stacey Abrams. It looked like by about 30,000 with 41% of the vote in. And CNN is now calling a race for Senate in Indiana for Republican Todd Young, defeating Thomas McDermott.
Let's go. We'll look at this real quick.
By the way, it's just us running the show here, guys.
Yeah.
There are some lulls as we're kind of getting information out.
Lull with a U, not a Lulz.
Yeah, that one.
So here we go. On the screen here, we are looking at about 35.4% of the vote, the precincts in, and Stacey Abrams still with a very tight lead. I don't know the ins and outs. You'd have to go to somebody like John King on CNN, who's like the county expert down to the granular level of where the vote is. But you can see here on the screen where are the different areas that she's overwhelmingly running away with the vote. Like here in Fulton County, which is the most populous county in the state, I believe. And she's at 71.2% of the vote. So she's going to have to run up those urban areas, the more populated areas, in order to take this, because the rural areas, like Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, who reelected her, are in large measure going to be voting for Brian Kemp, who is a piece of work himself. So
Yes.
not great.
Yes. Well, we do have a question here that I am going to throw up from Iron Torch.
Okay.
Iron Torch, what do you think about Elon Musk's tweet to vote Republican due to a Democrat-controlled presidency? Well, it is very dumb, but very expected because he is a rich guy. And he, of course, wants to vote his interests so that he can not pay taxes like he has not done in the past.
Yeah, 2018, I think his effective, I'd have to go to the ProPublica site, but on their reporting, but I believe his effective tax rate was like 3.27% or something for 2018. He is the richest man on the planet. So when someone like that, you have to look, they say follow the money. That really is. What are the motivations here? And he said it under the guise of, well, when one party has control of the presidency, you want to split it up to bifurcate power. And one, it is an elementary way to look at things, especially in a moment like right now where Republicans are literally insurrecting the Capitol. They are attempting to overthrow the government, not as a protest because they didn't like the fact that Joe Biden won, but because they wanted their guy to win. When Donald Trump won in 2016, many of us went out and protested, not because we wanted the election to change. Sure, we did want it to be a different outcome, not because we wanted to reinsert Hillary Clinton, who didn't win the election, in there, but because we wanted to register our displeasure. We wanted to send a message to the incoming administration that we would be on the ground watching everything that happened, and we weren't going to sit by idly while they destroyed the country. That wasn't the intent of the insurrectionists who attacked the Capitol just a very short distance from where we sit right now. Their intent was to extra-constitutionally reinsert the loser as the winner because they were spoiled brats. That's why. So all of this talk about Colorado and Arizona and Ohio and Kansas from Mike Lindell is just dangerous. And it gets amplified when you have an asshole like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, with an outsized voice. It's not like he has the same amount of speech as you. He wants to talk about freedom of speech all the time. He has an outsized, immeasurable reach with his money. I mean, he just bought one of the largest, most important social media platforms, just bought it. So now he is the topic of conversation. It's disgusting.
Well, he's the topic of conversation, and he gets to determine who gets speech as well. And as we saw after he took ownership of Twitter, use of the N-word was up 500%.
500%.
And that was fine. Apparently, that's just the discourse. That's just freedom of speech. But then people started impersonating Elon Musk on the platform. And immediately he's rolling out new rules. He's banning people for impersonating him. Kathy Griffin got the axe.
Yeah.
So,
hilariously so, by the way. Not that she got the axe, but people were acting just very, very funny. That is something I still have a lot of faith in, is how funny people are.
Yes. Well, and people have been asking, well, why are you staying on Twitter? And I don't know that I want to let Twitter turn into Truth Social so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, if all the progressives leave, then that just leaves the conservatives to take over. And even though it's kind of a hellscape, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too optimistic about what's to come. We have a comment here from Brian. Brian says, I'm so scared that the Republicans are going to run away with this election. And by the way, love you both. You make my days better. That is
Oh,
very kind.
very
Thank you,
nice.
Brian. I would say the prediction going in, the final prediction from 538 was that Republicans were slightly favored to take the Senate.
Yeah. And more favored to take the House.
And more favored to take the
Yeah.
House. So that is kind of what polling was showing going in. Of course, the initial results that are coming in are going to be favoring Democrats because Democrats tend to do the mail-in voting more so than Republicans.
Yeah.
So some of the results coming in right now may show inflated votes for Democrats, and that may change going forward. But it's still early. Polls are more polls just closed at 8:30. So we are still going to be seeing how things are going. A lot of these races, the estimated vote counts are not in, but this is definitely a fear. I mean, it's leading to a lot of anxiety that people feel about the midterms. Are Republicans going to have this red wave they've been talking about?
Yeah. Thank you, Brian, very much. Your kindness is appreciated. It's an odd job doing what we do, and it never gets old being told that you're appreciated and that the work we do means something to someone. Never in my life did I ever think that this would be a situation that I would be in. And it's something we talk about a lot in private, and it's not lost on us. So we appreciate it very much.
Yes, thank you.
I do want to address this. I want to address this comment here. Adam Taylor, Jesse, TYT is having Matt Gaetz on their show. They say they'll hold his feet to the fire and not let him just lie endlessly. But do you think it's wise to give him a platform like that? I wouldn't give him a platform, but I don't know. I don't know Jank. I don't know Anna. I don't know the people over at TYT. But I can tell you that I know that they're not going to just give him a free pass. So the answer to the question, well, it's kind of, we're going to have to wait and see how it went down. But I wouldn't be platforming Matt Gaetz, the credibly accused child rapist and election denier. I think anybody who is in a position right now to where they are questioning the results of our elections and propping up Donald Trump, anybody who's a fascist enabler or a fascist themselves, should not be getting rest or respite or platforms to spread their filth, even if it's checked. But we'll have to wait and see what they do. They obviously have a much larger platform and operation than we do, and they're going to make decisions for themselves. But all in all, I'm not shitting on them for doing it. They're making choices, and I think that they will ultimately. I think they'll do the right thing.
Well, and yeah, we'll see how the interviews go. I think that they're also going to be talking to Larry Elder. So, depending on how that goes, if they do ask Matt Gaetz about his child sex trafficking situation, allegations, allegedly.
I wish I had the drops from the podcast.
Then we'll see how it goes. So, Dark Pepsi, is it too early to call that Marco winning Florida or other Republicans that are projected winners? So they are projecting that Marco Rubio is the winner in his race for Senate in Florida. And the question is it too early? I mean, when it comes down to what they're calling, I don't know what the metrics are for the media outlets that report these things, but I think they don't want to have to take anything back.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to issue a correction. So if you see a media outlet calling a race, it's indicating that it's pretty certain that the trajectory is going to continue to move in a direction for that person they called the race.
That's right.
And they're just going to continue to gain votes with momentum that just will not be caught up by the Democratic opponent. So Val Demings very behind here, not going to catch up. Also, 81% of the vote has been counted in this case for Marco Rubio. So they're making that estimation that the votes that they're going to continue to count are just going to be his.
Yeah. So it is a bummer. Again, Marco Rubio is an absolutely disgusting, sycophantic bootlicker of Donald Trump. Donald Trump walked all over him, insulted him, degraded him, and then Marco Rubio just climbs right up inside of his butthole and makes himself at home, very cozy. So I don't understand it. It is not in my nature to give people who are terrible to me space like that. But
He also did not do well in the debate against Val Demings.
no,
that's very disappointing because he did not do well at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does look like here this race, Matt Gaetz, Rebecca Jones. This is not called yet, but I think it would be it would be folly to think that Matt Gaetz isn't also going to win his race in a district that Trump took by 32 points in 2020. So Florida is a mess, you guys. Florida is a bummer in many, many ways. And what used to be a swing state, Florida, it looks like it's really on the march to becoming a sure thing for Republicans. Not great. And Farron could speak more expertly about that because he is from there and lives in a Republican hellscape congressional district.
So the CNN reporting is showing that for the House, the Republicans are leading so far with the seats that they have. So that is also to be expected. And hopefully, I remember when we did our live stream for the election when Donald Trump was elected. And it was like watching a train wreck in slow motion because we started to see the results coming in and we started to see the writing on the wall.
Well, you did. And I, because of my positivity and optimism, I was blinded by it.
Well, everyone
was
admires
so
that about you.
Out of the realm of what I thought was possible that we would elect the dumbest dumb fuck of all the dumb fucks, Donald Trump. I can't bleep because we're doing live.
Well, and he's going to be announcing his candidacy reportedly coming up soon. He's
tomorrow,
been teasing
maybe.
it.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. And I think he's really enjoying, there's media at Mar-a-Lago tonight. And I think he's enjoying the influence that he still has within the Republican Party. I think didn't he make a statement about his influence in the Republican Party today? He talked about that, right?
Yeah, this is classic Donald Trump. We're only really playing this because it's more funny than anything else. But watch Donald Trump talk about if his candidates win, if we win back the House, and if they win the Senate, the Republicans, he deserves the credit. But if they lose, he doesn't deserve any blame. In classic Donald Trump fashion, watch this.
You've endorsed more than 330 candidates this election cycle. Tonight, win or lose, the results for Republicans, how much of that will be because of Donald Trump?
Well, I think if they win, I should get all the credit. And if they lose, I should not be blamed at all, okay? But it'll probably be just the opposite. When they win, I think they're going to do very well. I'll probably be given very little credit, even though in many cases I told people to run. And they ran, and they turned out to be very good candidates. You know, they've turned out to be very good candidates. But usually what would happen is when they do well, I won't be given any credit. And if they do badly, they will blame everything on me. So I'm prepared for anything, but we'll defend ourselves.
That is a remarkable moment it's not unexpected that would be what he says, but it is a remarkable thing when you think about the president of the United States. You want certain qualities and characteristics for that person. You want selflessness. You want servant leadership to be at the core of who they are. I think Barack Obama really did exemplify that. And then you got Donald Trump talking about me. I deserve the credit. It's me. I deserve the credit. And these people, these purported Christians, they gobble it up. They love it that he is such an arrogant POS. It is music to their ears. I don't know that I'll ever understand it.
Yeah.
Especially having come out of that culture, that evangelical Christian nationalist, rah Republican culture. It's, even for me, that's bizarre.
Well, we have a comment here from Misty Key. Misty says, good to see you both. Thanks for being a voice of reason for all persons. Married to a black man for 25 years, we are watching the country go in reverse. That there is still such accepted and promoted racism is deplorable.
Yeah,
Yes.
without a doubt, Misty. I mean, it affects you in a very real way. Being in a biracial marriage, I don't know what the term that would be. It is alarming to me to witness the rise of anti-Semitism, the rise of racism, the rise of bigotry and violence against the gay and trans community in this country, because for Republicans, cruelty is the point. For the GOP, lack of acceptance and bigotry is the order of the day. And it blows my mind that, again, someone like Herschel Walker, someone like Blake Masters in Arizona are doing as well as they are, because by design, they've made a choice to be bigoted, filled with hatred, and their objective is to divide us all rather than draw us together, rather than love all Americans. We're going to pick the ones we support and we're the ones we love. And primarily that's white, cisgendered, straight dudes, and everybody else can go straight to hell. Women, you're going to be told when and how you're able to have children. And gay people, you're going to be attacked. Asian people, you're going to be attacked because of the China virus. It's all gross. And again, cruelty is the point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We have
And thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it so much. That's very generous.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Misty. We have a comment here on a similar topic. Jesse, you want to take this one?
Uncle Fatty, Great Seal of the State of Idaho, Esto Perpetua.
What is the Idaho state flower?
It is the syringa.
What is the Idaho state bird?
The mountain bluebird.
Okay, we'll stop with the facts since you know them all. That's
the western white pine is the Idaho state tree.
That's enough. We're just showing off now with the Idaho facts.
The Appaloosa is the Idaho state horse. All right, Uncle Fatty.
Idaho state horse.
Yeah, Jesse, Dollemore, and Brittany Page, of course. Question: what do y'all think about the Great American Redoubt and the resurgence of Nazis in North Idaho? Much love, y'all. Good vibes. So the Great American Redoubt is a section of northern Idaho and eastern Washington, the Spokane, Washington, Coeur d'Alene area, and north of that, where a lot of people who didn't see eye to eye with their fellow human beings, like in California, are moving en masse to this area in northern Idaho and eastern Washington to create their own settlement of hatred and violence, a la like back in the 90s when the Aryan Nation was headquartered there in Hayden Lake. It is scary, Uncle Fatty. It is, again, kind of telling of where we are in America, because what is taking place in that area, that geographic area, that small geographic area, is really playing out all over the country. And people have been given permission by people like Tucker Carlson, who goes on his white supremacy power hour fireside chat every night on Fox News and says things that used to be whispered about. You know, many of you probably don't know. If you listen to the podcast, you know, Brittany Page was raised by virulent neo-Nazis. I don't mean like your piece of shit racist Uncle Gary who says inappropriate shit at the Thanksgiving table. I mean Nazis. And they moved there. Why? To Idaho from California?
To be closer to Aryan nations,
right,
when it was located in Hayden Lake, Idaho. And I think this is one of the scary things for me, is to watch the things that I was taught in my childhood home that I think I had an understanding at the time that it needed to be secret. We had to hide it because not everyone thought the way that we did. Not everyone used racial slurs in their home. Not everyone thought the way that we did about racial minorities. And we knew that that was not how other people felt about race and about these issues. I remember being in 4th grade when we learned about Native Americans, and my mom came down to the school and demanded that I sit outside of the classroom and not participate in the lesson because she wanted to be the one to teach us her own version of that history. And I was the only one in the hallway at that time.
Right.
And now I wonder how many kids would be out there with me, not allowed to learn reality, not allowed to learn the historical facts, being indoctrinated and protected in that indoctrination. Luckily, I was able to get an education as my parents slowly loosened their hold because they had other problems to worry about, thankfully. And I was able to get that education and find my way out. But I wonder how many kids are not going to be in that situation now because they're growing up where this is widely accepted in the Republican Party, widely accepted with these moms showing up to school board meetings to fight against books that are inclusive and educational.
Regular Americans. Like these aren't
Yeah.
Aryan Nation type of Nazis who have pictures of Adolf Hitler in their homes. These are regular Republicans who have been given permission to hold and broadcast their pernicious white supremacy ideas.
Yes. And I think we're starting to get a glimpse into that quote unquote everyday racism that many people were carrying with them and not making clear, but now they are taking it outside the home and making it clear that that's how they feel because it's accepted when Tucker Carlson, the #1 show on Fox News, is repeating those exact same talking points. So that's what's really scary.
The great replacement theory, which was talked about in your home growing up,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
white genocide, all of that is just mainstream Republicanism now.
Absolutely.
So, it is scary. Hang in there, Uncle Fatty, living in Idaho. I'm assuming you live in Idaho, having the seal of the state. It is tenuous times.
Yes. And if you want to learn more about my upbringing, I did a podcast on it. I was on Embrace the Void podcast.
Yeah.
So you can Google Embrace the Void Brittany page and I will be there. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel and maybe I'll be talking about it there from time to time. So we have another super chat here from Liam. Liam says, so as a trans man in Wisconsin, should I consider relocating somewhere very, very, very far away now?
Well, you Liam, are in a situation in Wisconsin where things could be taking a bad turn. We can talk about some of those races here. We've got Ron Johnson, who is again a sycophantic bootlicking scum for Donald Trump, and Mandela Barnes, a quality, solid candidate who loves America and Americans. And on the governor's side, you've got another very tight race. So look, I'm not going to give anybody any advice about where they could move, where they should move, and where they'll be safest. I don't know, but it is absolutely a scary, and again, I'll use the word tenuous time if you are in a marginalized group by no choice of your own. When we are facing the hatred and violence and vitriol that we are on a daily basis, especially when you're in the trans community. The trans issue, and it's something that I talk about frequently, is the civil rights issue of our time. You don't want to be on the wrong side of history. If you don't understand it, that's fine. Do some research, read a book, talk to someone, have a conversation. But if we don't stand with our trans brothers and sisters of the people who are being impacted by Republican policies, we're on the wrong side of history. And in 20 or 30 years, you will be embarrassed. You will not be able to talk to your children about the stance that you took because you will know that you were wrong and you will be ashamed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So take care of yourself, Liam.
That's most important. I mean, your safety, what you feel is best for you. If you do want to relocate and you can,
if you're in a position to do so,
and you would feel safer, then
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, the timing of this question is well timed because the polls in Wisconsin are getting ready to close. So we will see how things go with that race that you had up there, Ron Johnson and Mandela Barnes.
We're also 4 minutes away from the Arizona polls closing. Big things are on the move. They're right now on CNN. They're talking about this race. Let me get the right mouse going here. This race between Tim Ryan and JD Vance, maybe the most bootlicky of the bootlickers of Donald Trump, someone who had pointed, searing criticisms for Donald Trump and then decided he wanted to run for office. And now just Donald Trump grundle butter is his favorite flavor. He went to Scentsy or Yankee Candle and tried to, do you have a Yankee Candle that smells like Donald Trump's taint? Because that's what I want for my house. That's JD Vance. And we are 37% of the vote is in, and Tim Ryan is now leading. The polls closed at 7:30. So we're going to witness here what happens. And I hope you do the right thing, Ohio, because this could be one of those nightmare scenarios where the Senate goes to the Republicans. And again, it is dangerous for our country, the future of our nation, and ongoing democracy. It's not hyperbole to put it in those terms.
Well, and the polls closed in Ohio at 7:30 Eastern. And I think they just said that 82% of this current vote is the early vote. So some of the votes from today are also included in this total. And yet
Right.
Tim Ryan is still ahead. It looked like by about 90,000 votes.
Yeah.
So
A pretty solid lead. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
We'll see. There are certain states, I was going to say municipalities, but it's not quite that widespread. It's not to that granular level. Certain states require, Pennsylvania for one, you cannot even start to count the ballots, the absentee, the mail-in ballots until the polls close. You can't open the envelopes. You can't do any prep at all. And Republicans who put this policy into place are the ones that are using it to spurn their conspiracy theories about, if you can't find out the results by the middle of the night on election night, then that's fraud. We can't trust the results, when it's impossible with early voting and mail-in voting being as popular as it is. It's impossible to have results when you cannot start to even open up the envelopes until the polls close. So gross.
we have a comment here. You want to take a stab at the username, Jesse D?
SB real.
Very good, Jesse.
Spreal.
What I think is funny is Donald Trump is the coastal elite that conservatives hate so much. You know, I love the imagery of him at Mar-a-Lago tonight because it's just a sea of gold and all of these people that have bleach blonde hair. And I mean, I dye my hair blonde too, so I'm not making a judgment on that, but they all do look the same. Okay.
Who is it that said that Donald Trump is a poor man's version of what they think a rich man is? That he actually lives that.
Yeah. So true.
He's also like the poor guy's version of what a good businessman is. He's the dumb guy's version of what a smart guy is. It's just so pernicious and just upside down. It's bizarro world in America in 2022. I mean, we should have had flying cars. Instead, we got Donald Trump.
All right. Thank you to Roger for, is this a super chat? The different colors and
$12.
things.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think maybe each super chat has its own color. Like each amount.
Okay.
I don't know though.
So thank you, Roger.
What am I, a YouTuber? I don't know.
You are appreciated. Keep up the great work. Well, you've been a YouTuber for longer than me, so I would think that you would know what's happening here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Keeping with the foot theme, Ian would be happy to read this one. This is from Adam. How do we know Farron has a larger footprint? You won't show your feet. Adam, mic drop. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I wear a 13. Farron, if he's still on, he probably dropped off. He's got more important things to do than wait for me to show my feet on camera. We'd have to know. But his footprint online is obviously what I was talking about, Adam.
Yes. So we will go through here and thank a few people for their super chats and super stickers. Thank you to Valerie Watkins. Very kind. Thank you so much.
Very generous. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you to Grant. Grant, a super sticker from New Zealand.
New Zealand currency, $10. Do they have, is it dollar in New Zealand or? Because Australian dollar, I don't know.
You are Jessopedia, so you are supposed to know
I
something
do
like
not
that.
know.
All right, we have projected winners coming in from Kansas Senate. Jerry Moran defeats Mark Holland.
Yeah,
Mark
it is.
Holland.
It is again one of those races that I think was I didn't even prepare a slide with them on it.
So Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Louisiana, North Dakota, and Wisconsin, all of their polls have just closed. So we will start to see vote counts rolling in for these states. So it's been kind of slow with results coming in. I know there's been a few comments like we're not calling out a lot of results. They're still tabulating a lot of the votes. So there, as the polls continue to close, we are going to see things. If you want to kind of see what's happening in progress, 31% of the votes are in as far as Texas governor. And right now, Greg Abbott is up by 5. Oh God, they just called the Arkansas governor race for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. The winner of the Arkansas governor race, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Again, expected. Again, I mean, it's Arkansas.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, depressing and gross that Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the propagandist, the liar, the fascist enabler, is now the governor of a state.
So they are calling the governor's race for the Democrat in Rhode Island. So Democrat in Rhode Island is the winner of the governor's race there.
Dan McKee.
And another state that we are watching is the Pennsylvania Senate race, obviously, with John Fetterman and Dr. Oz. And 10% of the votes are in the Pennsylvania U.S. Senate race. Right now, Fetterman is up 45. So again, we're being cautious with those early vote count totals because they tend to skew toward the Democrats because Democrats tend to utilize mail-in voting more so than Republicans. So it is expected that Fetterman is going to be up this early on. Expect that will become closer over time.
We're going to see something pretty strange, I think, in Pennsylvania. I think it's if I'm making predictions, I think Josh Shapiro will go to this other
transition to the governor's race.
The governor's race. Josh Shapiro, the Attorney General of the state of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. JTAP would be very angry if you get it wrong. Against this conspiracy theory, white Christian nationalist Doug Mastriano. And I think Josh Shapiro will win the governor's race. And I think there is a good shot for Fetterman to lose, unfortunately, in Pennsylvania. And it's a strange occurrence that you're going to have not an across-the-board Republican win or Democrat win, that they're going to split the ticket here, as it were, even though it's not, it's a different race. Because of the fact that Mastriano is such a dangerous demagogue, such a psychotic conspiracy theorist, and the unfortunate situation with the perception of the problematic health situation of John Fetterman. Again, perception, because he is healing. His health is improving. Dr. Oz's situation isn't going to improve.
He's not going to heal. He's not going to get better. He's always going to believe that local political leaders should be involved in the abortion decisions.
Exactly. He's going to be the same asshole in a year. John Fetterman will be back to good health in a year.
Yes.
So it's a bummer for sure.
Yes. So they have called the race for Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer wins.
Yeah, expected.
Senate race.
Yep.
I love how you're a lack of excitement there. You're like, yeah, whatever. We knew that. We can celebrate all of the wins that we get. I think we need that. We should have confetti.
Great.
That shoots up on the screen. Okay, so Warnock is up 5 points in the Georgia Senate race. He is up 5 points with 57% of the votes in. I swear.
I think Warnock's going to win.
If this goes the way that we want it to go, I'm going to be thrilled.
Yeah.
Absolutely thrilled.
I really, let's think about this and talk about it in the comments. What kind of a dystopian bullshit world would we have to live in that Herschel Walker is a United States senator?
Just imagine it.
It is, close your eyes and witness the horror in your mind's eye That is remarkable. It's already bad enough that we have dumb shits like Ted Cruz. I don't know. It really tells you the state of the Republican Party today, and it's not good.
No. Well, I should have brought my props.
You got props.
My badges that I have.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
I found all the badges? I was like a cop for Halloween when I was a teenager, and then people started gifting me badges and calling me Sheriff Britt. And so I probably shouldn't tell this story because then it's probably going to be a thing. But we used those for you to take photos.
That's right.
With the badge so that you could do your own impression of Herschel Walker.
I photoshopped myself.
Real officer of the law, Herschel Walker.
That the badge that I had was just as real as his. Not a prop. Idiot.
Okay.
So again, we're looking here at the race. I'll just go here to the state. We'll put it up on the screen.
We will take this comment down and get to it in a second.
Georgia is. Oh, I guess I gotta see. Look at this. We're our own production team, everybody. So if you're looking here at this race, you've got Raphael Warnock at 51.4%. We've got 53.5% of the vote in, and this is a great margin here. And what I was talking about earlier with this libertarian, Chase Oliver, is siphoning off. It's almost a guarantee that the vast majority of those 44,000 and change votes for this libertarian candidate are siphoning off vote that would have gone to Herschel Walker. So sometimes third parties do some good, do the Lord's work. And in this case, I think they are.
Absolutely. All right.
You can go back to that comment now.
You want to read
Asexual Atheist. Thanks for the super chat. We appreciate it very much. Hopefully you are both doing well post Jesse's surgery. Yep. This is my emotional support channel. DeSantis sacrilegious ad is frightening. I did a video on Monday talking about that ad from DeSantis where
Boy, was it wild.
the narrator says, on the 8th day, God created DeSantis because he needed a fighter. It is, again, Republican Party, they want to talk like they venerate Christianity and the philosophies that were taught by Jesus Christ, and then they go and shit all over it. So I don't get it. And again, listen, I come from parents who, my mom was a Donald Trump delegate in Cleveland at the Republican National Convention in 2016. They're still in the cult, and they still consider themselves Christians as well. And it is laughable, all of these people. OG Taco, $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Glad to see the two of you together. It's like a live podcast. Jesse, I'm so glad to see you behind the desk. Me too. The cancer diagnosis came out of the blue. It was surprising, to say the least. I'm a young guy, despite my gray beard, and healthy. And it's scary to face down the prospect of dying well before you're 50 years old. I'm glad. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy I got the care that I did from the team that did my colonoscopy, my surgeon, Dr. Joyce Wong, a beautiful, wonderful,
amazing,
talented genius of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to be alive, and I'm happy that there's so many people out there who are supportive and loving and concerned, and we're rooting for me. It's not lost on me. So thank you, OG Taco, very much.
I talked about the possibility of crying on the live stream tonight and didn't know that it would be because of that. So just got to take a deep breath. Okay. Want to give a shout out to TJ, who is in the comments helping us moderate. That is very helpful. Thank you very much for helping to promote the new YouTube channel that I have, and keeping things running smoothly in the comments as we try to.
Are there any assholes?
I haven't seen any yet, but
Yet.
maybe I just have a special filter where I can't even read them. I don't even register the mean comments. Like it just did you say something that I didn't hear you. So thank you, TJ.
And go
that.
subscribe. Can you put that back up? It's already gone.
It's gone.
Bye. Do subscribe to Brittany's channel. It is a work in progress. It is not what's going to end up being her permanent studio. We are in the process of figuring all of that out. But Brittany has an amazing story. Her life is something remarkable, far different than maybe anybody you've ever met in your life. Being raised by literal Nazis and going on to get her education. She has a Master of Science in Clinical Psychology. She is a licensed psychotherapist, smart and awesome. And there's going to be a lot of good content on that channel. So, you're not going to have to look at my stupid face all the time. Huh?
Okay.
What a bonus.
Thank you. That is very kind. Special shout out to Clifford Brock.
Wow.
$50 super sticker. That is very generous. Thank you very much.
So great.
Very, very kind. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Clifford.
And I think we will go to a question here from Sammy4549. Is all of this so the Republicans can create a whole generation of ideal citizens?
Yeah, that is why history is on the chopping block under the guise of the critical race theory. They don't even want, there are books that deal with the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. or the good that Harriet Tubman did. And they want those books removed from libraries because of pernicious critical race theory. Books about Rosa Parks are being taken out of libraries because they don't want history taught. They don't want today's children to grow up learning about the slavery and some of the evils that we have visited upon marginalized groups in this country. They want a stupid electorate so they can convince them of their lies. It is a cycle that they're trying to put into place. Sammy, you're absolutely right. Or you're asking a question. I assumed you knew the answer and you're teeing me up. Thank you. And for the super chat, very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sammy, for that. Mindy is a listener of the I Doubt It podcast and supporter of the YouTube channel. Yes, Connecticut re-elects Blumenthal. I guess you guys can also do the breaking news here because we haven't seen that.
Yeah. Also, one of the races that was safe. That's not one that was really in risk.
Do you see the pattern here tonight?
What pattern?
Anything that's expected when a Democrat wins is being poo-pooed. Yeah, we knew that. Who cares?
No, it's good news. It's good news. It's one more Senate seat we don't have to worry about falling in. Did I just snort? Falling into the hands of Republican demagogues.
Yeah.
All right.
Ben, is there any chance in hell the Dems can hold on to the House and Senate, guys, or is it too early to tell still?
It is too early to tell, but it is looking... Here's, if I'm making a broad prediction, I think it is very, very possible, if not slightly likely, that we lose the House, which it is in itself presents a lot of problems related to the House Select Committee investigating the insurrection. For sure, that it's a problem. But I think we will maintain, maybe even pick up a seat or two in the Senate. It's a bummer that that's where we are, but it is indeed where we are. So
CNN has just made a projection for House 27 in Florida. House District 27 for Maria Salazar. They took the name away before I could read it. And
Maria Elvira Salazar.
And in Virginia, House 10, Jennifer Wexton, Democrat. They have projected Democrat in Virginia winner for the House. So one Republican and one Democrat projected the winner for the House there. Yeah.
So that is good. And Ben, thank you for the question very much. I'd like to know what everybody else thinks.
Yes.
You know, I am obviously not a political prognosticator. I don't have any more information than you do. I do have years and years of intense focus on this particular issue, politics and Congress. So maybe I have my picker is a little bit better than some, but we live in very strange times. But by the way, it is still very possible that Democrats maintain the House, that we maintain the majority in the House, and I think that would be obviously fantastic. So,
is this a troll? Because this is kind of exciting. Richard Davenport, you are on the chopping block, a-hole. Your communism is what is evil.
My communism. I'm not a communist, so I don't know what Dick Davenport means by that. But I'm on the chopping block. Super smart guy. Eleanor Aquitaine. I'm not good with these. Thank you for super chat very much. Rewriting history is a tool of tyrants. Yeah, and the tyrants that we face in our country today are indeed tools themselves. See what I did there?
Very good. Yes. That's why you do what you do.
Oh, yeah, I'm real good at it.
You're so good at doing what you do.
My communism is going to be going down, though.
Yeah, it's rare to find the trolls in the comments, so it's kind of fun when they come up, you know?
Yeah.
This is from Daniel Burt. Discredit the media, discredit the process, discredit the avenues of receiving truth is how the Republicans can win. We definitely saw that in this election with 300 election deniers on the ballot, from Senate races to governors to Secretary of State. Arizona is a particularly scary state where this is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Fincham is running for Secretary of State there, a prominent election denier. I think he was at the January 6th insurrection as well.
Certainly was.
Carrie Lake running for governor, calls herself Trump in a dress. She's very scary. And she was already doubting the election at like 2 p.m. She was talking about election fraud.
Yeah.
She has used the fact that Katie Hobbs, her opponent here for governor, is the current Secretary of State in Arizona, and so is going to be in charge of certifying the election in Arizona. And she has already floated the idea that, isn't it strange that my opponent in this race is going to be the one certifying my election?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a remarkable. I mean, who was it that was talking about if Joe Biden? We played it on the podcast today that if Joe Biden is out there, it was Tucker Carlson. That Joe Biden in his speech the other day said something about to not question the election results, and they're acting as though Joe Biden is commanding you not to question the results, even though the vast majority of the polling has been indicating that Republicans are likely to win. So is Joe Biden out there saying, don't question the results when Republicans win? You got one side that's dealing with reality on reality's terms, and then you have another side, the Republicans, who are attempting to create their own reality out of whole cloth. It's gross and dangerous.
Absolutely. We have a comment here from Albert Flowers. Brittany, can you and Jesse say hi to Donis Rizal from Iowa?
Hey, Donis Rizal from Iowa. Hello.
Hope everything is well in Iowa.
I really do hope things are good in Iowa.
I mean, yeah, of course.
It's Steve King country, Iowa.
Brienne says, we love your stupid face. As you said, by the way, you both are wonderful and strong people, kindred spirits. Be well, both of you. Also, please update us on your situation. Big freaking hugs.
Update on my cancer situation?
I believe so.
Yeah. So Friday, I had my follow-up appointment with my surgeon, the wonderful Joyce Wong. We just mentioned her. And I am being referred to an oncologist to see if I'm going to go through chemo for 6 months, a 6 months run of chemo. We don't know yet, but there are a lot of factors that come into play relative to at the cellular or molecular level of what the cancer was doing and which direction it's going, like all kinds of stuff that's way over my head. And then that particular specialist, we're going to let them make the call on whether they think I should go on chemo for 6 months. So we'll see. But right now, cancer free. They removed like 35% of my colon when they did the operation, and things are looking good. I hope that answers your question, Brienne. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for the super chat. It is Very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you. This is a comment from Ben. Ben says Massachusetts elected the nation's first lesbian governor.
Yes.
Awesome.
Leave it to Massachusetts. Uh, home of John Adams from the get-go, an abolitionist. There's been a lot of solid policy and politicians come out of Massachusetts, and one more example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the update, Ben. We
Yes.
appreciate you.
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate you throwing the updates in there, and that is very helpful. I think that we are still waiting on results for a few of the important races. It looks like 61% of the votes are in the Georgia Senate race, and Warnock is still up 4 points. So that is good news. 39% of the votes are in for the Texas governor race, and Abbott is up by 5 points.
I'll just go to that right now. We'll take a look.
For Texas, there we go.
Yeah. Texas is another one where I hope, listen, if we take anything away from this particular midterm election, it is that going into the general election, all of us as people who care about these outcomes, all of us who have neighbors and friends and coworkers and family who are in marginalized groups, who are in danger, that we need to do a better job of getting out the vote. We need to do a better job of convincing people who might not otherwise vote to get out there and cast their ballot. Because if we were to raise in Harris County, the county where Houston is in Texas, if we were to raise the percentage of people who actually went out and voted, they could overcome the juggernaut that has been Republicans in Texas for decades. We could turn things around, which would have national implications as well. So get out there and get people to vote.
Absolutely. This is a super chat from Chad. Chad says, loving the coverage, guys. Sorry to say that John Kennedy from Louisiana has 70% of the vote so far. Still many votes to be counted, though. Dick Davenport seems to not know what communism actually is. Shocking. This troll that came in and left a comment is going to be ripped to shreds in the comments, it seems.
Yeah, I'm definitely of the opinion that, and TJ knows this, TJ, a long time listener of our podcast.
Yes.
That I don't want people just kicked out of the comments unless they start spamming and making it a shitty experience for everybody. I like dissent. I like to have people, whether they call in and act like assholes or whatever, that's fine. But they're also opening themselves up to being trounced by my well-informed, passionate audience. Thanks for the super chat, Chad. We appreciate it very much. Let's go to some coverage here on that particular Louisiana race. I think it is good to talk about this one in particular.
You love Kennedy.
I do not love John Neely Kennedy, the mealy-mouthed Trump sycophant, former Democrat, by the way. It's very weird to me when you have a man like John Kennedy who looks like, even when he's talking and has teeth in his mouth, looks like someone who took their dentures out and doesn't have teeth. But this is an interesting race. Louisiana is a state where if you don't get 50% of the vote or more, it has to go to a runoff. So you've got two Democrats in this race, Luke Mixon and Gary Chambers, who I've talked about on the YouTube channel a lot. He had those provocative ads where he's smoking weed in one. He burns a Confederate flag in another.
That was a great ad.
He's fantastic. But if any of these people don't get to 50% and win outright, then it's a runoff, I believe in January, where it would be between, hopefully, Gary Chambers and John Kennedy. And then, it's like a whole nother set of campaign ads, and they hit the ground running to try to get, again, that over 50% of the vote. So as you can see here, there are no results.
Yes. So Raphael Warnock is still ahead with 65% of the vote in. He is over 100,000 votes ahead, and that is looking pretty good. Unfortunately, J.D. Vance is 11,000 votes ahead right now with 45% of the vote in. that is over Tim Ryan. They had a pretty spirited debate. I thought that was a good one where Tim Ryan had a really good performance. I think we saw a few Democrats really going hard against Republicans in their debates, choosing different tactics than we're used to seeing on the left. I think, Michelle Obama's famous quote, when they go low, we go high,
Yeah.
is often the approach that Democrats take. But in some of these debates, we started to see them
Don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see more Val Demings against Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
I want to see more Tim Ryan against JD Vance. I want to see more just outright ridicule for things that are ridiculous.
Well, listen, it's the same philosophy that I take when I get criticized a lot for calling Tucker Carlson a haircut or a googly-eyed feather duster or dipshit or dumbfuck or whatever the names that I use. And people are like, we need to be better than that. No, we don't. I don't owe any Nazi, any racist, any white supremacist, any fascist, any respect whatsoever. And I'm not going to bend over backwards to, we're going to be gracious. No, we're not. We need to call a spade, call them what they are, and treat them with the respect they deserve, which is none. Good?
I think that's fair. A few people have said that our mouths don't match the audio.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix that right now. So that'll be something for another stream.
So just,
how bad is it?
Just don't look at us. Okay, I think that we have a comment here from Mark. Mark says, Jesse and Brittany, keep doing what you both are doing. Jesse, I've been a subscriber of yours since the Tomi Lahren days.
Since the Tomi Lahren days.
Wow, Tomi Lahren days, before she went on Fox Nation behind the paywall.
That's right.
And I'm glad that you're doing well, and it's refreshing to hear Brittany's perspective on things. Well, thank you, Mark. Very kind. Thank you for the super chat. Hope you are having an okay time with election anxiety. Same to everyone else watching. It is nice to see everyone be in community with one another in the comments and processing this night of elections together.
Yeah, it is. If you think about, Mark, those days back in the day when I was doing takedowns of Tomi Lahren, I thought things were bad then. Who knew that it would get to the point of where we are today with the fascism, with the open racism, the open white supremacy? It is, I don't know how many times I've said it, that the Republican Party is the largest organized white supremacy organization on the planet. It is true. It's not hyperbole. And it's because of the baby steps that they took to get where we are today. And we've allowed it. We've given space for it as a collective, not you and me, not us as progressives or Democrats or liberals, but as a country, we have given space for it. And it's scary where we are.
Mm-hmm. Some people have said if the audio is not matching up with the mouths, to refresh the feed, and that will solve the problem. So if that is something that you are experiencing, go ahead and try that. Not us, but individually when
I wouldn't even know where to go to do that.
I saw you panting. You're like, what do I in real time? How do I figure this out? So try that if you are having that problem. But thank you for alerting us to the issue there. A comment from Brian: how does anybody vote for Abbott over Beto or Rourke? It's a great question. How does that happen? I mean, Greg Abbott is up. 52% of the vote is currently in, and he is ahead 149,264 votes right now over Beto, which is very concerning, especially with, their debate was not a strong showing for Beto.
Yeah.
I think that's at least my takeaway. How many of these debates did I watch, by the way? I'm like wasting
way
my
more
life.
than me.
I'm wasting my time.
Way more than
watching
me.
These debates. But it wasn't a great showing. But Greg Abbott, he is not great. I mean, what does he do? He doesn't seem to have a lot of concern about what happened in Uvalde. He doesn't seem to care about restricting access to guns in the face of constant shootings.
Callousness on parade.
Doesn't care about the issue of abortion. In fact, wants to restrict the right to abortion as much as possible. There are many concerning things.
Didn't he say, well, we don't need, we can restrict abortion access because if people get raped, we're going to catch all the rapists. We're going to eliminate that. Just absolute nonsense and a dereliction of duty as a governor supposed to lead and make things better for people and make people safer. And he's just
Well, it's
doing
also
the opposite.
It's nice try when there is a rape kit backlog, endless
Tens
rape
of
kit.
thousands.
Yeah, I mean, nice try with that.
I'm going to step away for just a moment and fill up my tea because my voice is a little hashy.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
I'll be right back.
All right. So while Jesse is gone, we are going to go through some of these comments and get to some of these thank you notes and super chats that you guys have given. So we want to give a shout out to Martha Gomez. Martha Gomez, thank you so much for that. Very kind. Is that tea kettle going to be heard on the microphone? Possibly, but it's what Jesse needs, you guys. It's what he needs. Okay. We have a comment here from Mel. Mel says, row, row, row your vote. Keep our country free. Block the trolls, ignore the polls. I probably could have sang that in more of a sing-songy tune, but that would have been off key and everyone would have been leaving the stream immediately if that had happened. So we're not going to do that. All right, Jamie. Hey guys, just popped in to see a live stream, staying genuine. As a Canadian, I'm still watching the midterms. Fascism needs to fuck off. Jamie, I would agree with you there. Absolutely. Are we going to see people saying the same about fascism?
Why is Jamie's picture not a Be Genuine hoodie?
Yeah, Jamie, good question. Why are you not promoting the hoodie at every opportunity? That's what Jesse wants to know, is why are you not promoting the hoodie at every opportunity? It's okay, though. I'm not going to hold you to that, so don't worry. Okay, let's get to these other comments here. Carly is a long-time listener, long-time supporter. Shout out to Carly. Harris County, Houston had problems too in predominantly Black communities. Surprise, surprise. Talking about voting machines, I would gather. Did you mute your mic?
It's back on now.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, listen, I don't know specifically, Carly, of the issues that you're talking about, but certainly there are, I don't know about with the voting machines, but there are a lot of times it's procedural issues where they slow the vote, they make people wait in long lines, and then just the number of people just kind of evaporates because people get tired. They have other things going on. They have other obligations and they can't wait in line for hours. I don't know specifically what these issues were in Harris County, but it is definitely on the table for voter suppression, especially in Texas, where they have played all kinds of games with universities, knowing that student populations typically vote Democrat. It's a pattern and practice for Republicans, especially in Texas as well, Carly.
Absolutely. Cyber Gothica, how anybody vote for Herschel? Great question.
Yeah.
This is similar to the Greg Abbott question. And I think it really comes down to, we started to see a little glimpse of this when Dana Lash is like the former spokesperson for the NRA. And she came out and said that she doesn't care. She doesn't care what Herschel Walker has done, how many abortions he's paid for. She doesn't care about any of that. What she wants is a Republican majority. And she came out and said that directly. That is what she said. So Republicans have made it very clear, we don't care about the quote unquote values that we pretend to hold up. We just want the majority so that we can pass tax cuts for the rich.
Yeah.
And we can continue to elevate Christian nationalism and oppress minority groups and create fascism in this country. That is the motivation. They don't actually care about the values. They don't actually care about who Herschel Walker is as a person or what he will do, as long as he's willing to do what they want him to do.
Yeah,
and they know that
he will without a doubt be. I don't think he's going to be elected. My prediction is that he's going to lose. But
so we are making predictions now.
Look, sometimes I'm going to be making predictions. Sometimes I'm not. It's just how I feel.
As it gets closer to knowing the results, Jesse's going to throw in his predictions.
No, I think I said early on that I didn't think Herschel Walker was going to win.
Yeah, you did. Are
you shitting on me too? You and the Dick Jensen or whatever his name was?
Yeah, this is what we do. This is what we do. If you've heard I doubt it, this is what we do.
We're just doing it in real time, everybody.
Yeah. So, okay. Hopefully we answered that question because it got taken away. All right. Let's see. We have another comment here.
Antifa.
Thank you, Jesse and Brittany. Y'all are making tonight in Florida a little bit better.
Yeah, that is, if you are indeed in Florida, that is, it's time to crack open a bottle of bourbon and, you know, I don't envy you. It's one of the reasons why, you know, we had a caller earlier, or a caller. We had a commenter earlier, Uncle Fatty, I believe his name was, from Idaho, talking about the readout, this area up there where all these separatists and weirdos are moving. And Florida is a lot like that. It is a bummer, just the makeup and the trajectory that Florida has taken, being reliably a swing state for years and years to now being reliably fascist. And it's a bummer if you live there. I could not foresee myself or imagine myself moving back to Idaho. And the same thing would be for Florida. No way. And I feel for you. I feel for you.
So thank you, Antifa, for that comment, and great screen name. That is fantastic. Cliff Wagner, $10 super thanks. Thank you. Republicans are winning because they have all the solutions. Inflation, impeach. Gas prices, pray to our God. Crime, more guns. Maybe arm second graders. Illegal immigration, investigate Hunter's laptop.
Yeah.
Those are the solutions, I guess, that they offer.
Yeah, it is distraction politics is all they have. There is no policy prescription. Even when a couple of months ago, when Mitch McConnell was asked, what are your policy priorities if you do indeed take back the Senate? And he didn't have an answer. He said, oh, you'll have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see. Just like we waited and saw what Donald Trump's healthcare plan was. And we waited and saw what the infrastructure plan was going to be, because it was infrastructure week every 5 minutes with Donald Trump. They don't have policy prescriptions. They don't have ideas to make America better. All they have is division and culture war bullshit. So I'm with you. And you said it better than I did, Cliff. Thank you for the super chat very much. We appreciate you. Scott Hall GV. I had an issue. Go ahead. Sorry.
I had an issue when I went to vote. The computer system didn't recognize my name or anything. They had to look me up on the paper records to confirm I existed. I was about to raise a fuss.
But it did it got resolved, because there are secondary options and availability of how to recognize you as a voter. So you did get to vote. You see, it's not a conspiracy. It's not, it is. We have a system that works. And unfortunately, some municipalities do play games, like we were just talking about with Carly and Harris County in Houston, Texas. But you have to be resilient, and you have to be ready to put in the time to stay, to not allow their games to be effective. So I'm glad you stuck with it. I'm glad you voted and got your voice on the record, Scott.
So let's do a brief check-in with some of these key races that we are watching, specifically the Texas governor race, where 44% of the votes are in, and Abbott is up 9 points. We have the Georgia U.S. Senate race, 67% of the votes are in, and Warnock's lead has gone down. It was 5 points last time we talked about it. It is now 0.16. 0.16.
Warnock. Yeah, let's look here.
So that is one that we are definitely watching, because this is, again, the very real officer of the law.
Yeah, not a prop.
Herschel Walker.
Not a prop cop.
Versus Raphael Warnock.
Yeah, right now it looks like a dead heat. Washington Post says at 49.1 to 49.1%. They are within 300 votes of one, or no, I guess a couple of thousand votes of one another. Herschel Walker has now taken the lead, 63% of the vote. I still hold to the fact that I think that Raphael Warnock will win. But imagine where we are in this country where he even has a chance, that almost 1.5 million people voted for Herschel Walker. This is a nightmare scenario playing out, where we could have Herschel Walker in the well of the United States Senate voting on critical legislation that impacts the lives of hundreds of millions of Americans. Sickening. Here we are.
It is very, very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Mindy says, I believe Herschel was put up by Trump as retaliation for them not finding his votes, win the seat, but absolutely no real representation for Georgia.
Yeah, it is very sad. I mourn for my country on a weekly basis, thinking about for our country, thinking about where we are and how far we've fallen. That truth is no longer a virtue. It is no longer appreciated. Facts, research, data, reality is not what is important anymore. It is who can win the culture wars, who can lie, who can stoke anger and resentment, who can create fear in the white population in this country to think that they're losing out. They're no longer going to be in the majority of the power anymore. They are leaning in on very real, generations old conspiracy theories in white supremacy circles to convince white people that we are becoming second-class citizens when we are absolutely still the dominant force politically, economically in this country. It's scary. It's very scary. And thank you for the super chat, Mindy. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Mindy. Zane says, hey, from South Carolina, watched since Tommy, another one. Dems here need more promotion than they usually receive. You have any ideas on how to make states like mine blue? Well, I think, if we're going to be taking lessons, like let's say that the Democrats do lose big tonight or even lose a little bit.
Yeah. A majority is a majority, whether you got there with one vote or, a million.
I'm hoping that the lesson is that we should have done more to alleviate the strain of the economic conditions of people in this country. We should have done more.
Yes.
And I'm concerned that the talking point will be we spent too much and that caused a problem with inflation. I mean, you hear that from the right already.
Yeah.
But I think what we didn't do enough of is provide for people in their time of need. And we're seeing it with the expiration of the student loan debt interest rate. We're seeing it with Republicans fighting at every turn to have even the most minimal student debt cancellation possible. And if Democrats were to really do more to help people who are in economic precarious situation, then there wouldn't be as much fear about inflation or economic issues because there would be assistance there.
Yeah.
And so Republicans wouldn't be able to capitalize on that fear and steal that vote, not steal as in steal the election, but, take that vote away from Democrats. So I think that is one way, but who knows? Because right now Republicans seem to care most about cultural issues and
cultural issues that they're making up,
right?
Yeah.
Quote unquote wokeness and things of that nature. So it's tough to say what can they really do that will then garner more support for the party. It's a tough question.
Yeah, I'm
your optimism isn't going away, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. It just, when we talk about it over and over and over, it bums me out because we live Democrats don't do the right thing oftentimes relative to how they sell themselves, how they sell what their agenda is. There's too much give to the other side, too much trying to play cute and nice with Republicans, and even conservative Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. We need to give something to the American people, make their lives materially better, and give them a reason to give their votes to Democrats. Make a case for why we are the party that is going to provide progress and betterment of American lives. And instead, we play cute and, 2,000, no, it's going to be 1,600 or 1,400. It's not going to be the full amount that we actually promised during the campaign. We're shortchanging the American people, and we're shortchanging the people who need the help the most. It's depressing. Yeah. Key race alert. Bennett in Colorado, he will be the senator. Not a shock. That was expected, but since I'm supposed to be excited about things that we expected, yay!
I mean, you're not supposed to with anything, but it's nice, especially given the heavy feelings that
Yeah,
you were
for
just
sure.
working through. In
Well,
real
here's
time
another
just
one.
now.
Larry Hogan was not running for governor of Maryland anymore, but Moore, the Democrat, is now the governor, projected to win, beating the Republican Cox by a healthy margin at this point, even though 31% of the vote is in. Only 31% of the vote is in. Democrat will be running Maryland instead of the moderate Republican, Larry Hogan, but still a Republican. So that's good.
Yes. So let's look at some of these key races again, just briefly going through them. And we already talked about how Walker is now up with 69% of the votes in. It looks like Kathy Hochul, am I saying that right?
Yep. Yep.
The New York governor's race.
I think she's going to win. Where is that?
20% of the votes are in, and she is up 32 points.
Okay.
We have the Ohio Senate race. JD Vance is up 6 points with 59% of the votes in.
That is a bummer.
Yeah, I don't know how someone like JD Vance can win, who he's proved that he is rather spineless. I mean, how can you lock him down on any real position? How does he actually feel about anything?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah.
A complete lack of consistency.
What do you guys think out there? Are you in Ohio? And I mean, listen, JD Vance is one an opportunist and a grifter, a liar. He wrote that stupid hillbilly elegy book, which by many accounts is a lot of fabrication in it, things that didn't really take place. People say, many people are saying, but he's a guy who strongly held a position against Donald Trump. And then when it benefited him, absolutely changed his mind and is now one of the lickiest bootlickers who has found a fondness for Donald Trump's particular brand of boot polish. So gross. The Henry Green team, thank you for the super chat, $9.99. We appreciate it very much. My husband and I are considering leaving the United States. We are currently in the UK on holiday and have started looking at properties in the United Kingdom and the European Union as an alternative. We are Floridians here. So I understand the sentiment. I think that it is, count yourself lucky that you are in a position financially and otherwise to be able to make that move. So many people are not. That's not me being shitty to you. I really am. It's great that you're in that position, because there are millions and millions of Americans who don't even have the financial wherewithal to move out of the state that they live in, to move from Texas to New Mexico, even Texas to Louisiana. It is a bummer. And it is a conversation that's being had all over the country right now by likely hundreds of thousands of people. Like, when is that moment for us? When is too much? When is it too much? When do we really need to start looking at maybe moving to Canada or somewhere else, because we're turning into a Margaret Atwood dystopian Gilead type of Handmaid's Tale type of country? And that, I know people think that it's hyperbole and it's, don't say that, but that is where we're going. That is the kind of country, the kinds of policies that Republicans are engineering to repurpose America into their vision of what it should be, which is that dystopian outlook. They want white men to rule. They want women to be the bearers of children. They don't want women to have jobs. I mean, if you listen to people like Nick Fuentes, who is a white nationalist to be sure, he says what Republicans aren't comfortable saying in public. He just says it out loud. Mm-hmm. And it's where we're headed.
Yeah. Well, and on that note of being able to leave or move, if you have that ability, I've seen it start to pop up on the right where they will talk about, well, listen, the right to abortion, that was just passed to the states.
Yeah.
And now it's up to the people who live in those states to decide if they want to have a right to abortion. What about the people who live in those states who want that right, who can't afford to leave that state?
The Texases or the Idahos or the many other, the Mississippis, the Alabamas, the other states in the union who are making it impossible for a woman to have bodily autonomy and make healthcare decisions for herself with their doctor, it's where we are.
Right, which then trickles down into many areas where there are kids having to cross state lines to obtain abortions following sexual assaults. There are people who are unable to get their pregnancies terminated because there's fetal abnormalities that make the pregnancy non-viable, and the doctor refuses to take action on that because they are afraid of legal consequences because of some of these laws. Sometimes people can't get their prescriptions filled because they might cause an abortion or they may interfere with fertility. Even though the prescription is not at all related to an abortion, the pharmacist still won't fill it. So this has consequences down the line. And if you live in a state, the right wing will act like, oh, well, it's choice. It's giving people choice. It's up to the state now. Well, people don't have a choice if they can't afford to leave that state when they want to.
We've even heard of cases where a fetus dies inside of the mother, and they're not allowed to get the DNC, a procedure to remove the dead or dying organism within them. They're not even allowed to do that because, oh no, that's an abortion, when they're carrying around a dead fetus. I mean, it is again, cruelty is the point for them.
Yes.
Ugh.
Tea Talk Time became a YouTube member. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tea Talk Time.
Tea Talk Time. I don't know if that is related to your new love of tea, but we did get a comment about that from South Texas Shark. South Texas Shark, what kind of tea are you drinking?
Well, I don't want to do a commercial. Well,
let's have a beverage chat. Oh, you're getting a prop. I see. He's going to actually get the tea so that you can see the brand and not just the flavor.
Yeah, well, if I could get a brand deal with these people, that would be fantastic. It's called Rishi. There's like with the light. Our neighbors, our wonderful neighbors, turned us onto it. We had dinner with them the other night, and we said that I'm drinking a lot more tea since the procedure, or it was pre-procedure, and they turned us onto this, and it's. I like peppermint tea, so that's the flavor, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Right?
Good.
Fantastic.
Yes. So if you have any tea recommendations, be sure to send those our way, because Jesse, as he previously stated early on, has become a tea guy.
I'm a tea guy.
He's a tea guy now, post-cancer diagnosis, because he couldn't have caffeine for a period of time when he was on a special diet in his recovery, and he became a tea guy.
Yeah.
So now he loves the peppermint tea. Peppermint, right?
It's peppermint.
Peppermint.
Thanks, South Texas Shark. We appreciate the super chat very much.
Yes.
You are fantastic.
Yes. Thank you. Someone says Boebert is losing.
What?
Question
All
mark,
right.
question mark, question mark.
We're going to go check that out.
we
Give me
need
one
to-
moment. We will go to Colorado. Boop. Boop. You like my little sound effects?
Mhm.
All right. Let's get this up on the screen here. Let everybody see what is going on. Lauren Boebert. So like we said, Michael Bennet has been projected as a winner. They haven't done it here for the United States Senate, but CNN called, and they have pretty solid experts. They're
in this
what would you call
regard,
them?
not when it comes to their programming.
Yeah, they're dipshits.
choices,
They've
but-
become huge dipshits.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What district is she in? Lauren Boebert. So here we are.
Oh yeah.
13% counted.
Very early still.
The Democrat is up by about 8,000 votes. But that is very early on. And that is she lives in a rural district that Trump, by the way, I mean, it could go down that she loses. Trump only won that district by 8 points. So who knows? But it would be pretty fantastic if indeed, as you see here, I'll make the screen a little bigger, if indeed she was to lose. It is Tom Nichols, a guy named Tom Nichols wrote a book called The Death of Expertise. That was Tom Nichols, right?
The Death of Expertise, Tom Nichols.
Yeah. And it really is the anthem for the Republican Party, the death of expertise, because you have a person like Lauren Boebert who, dropped out of high school. A lot of people drop out of high school. That's not an indictment. Didn't graduate high school. Not an indictment necessarily. Got her GED. Not an indictment. But the indictment, as far as I'm concerned, is her lack of curiosity, her lack of intellectual curiosity. When's the last time that you think Lauren Boebert read a book that wasn't assigned to her in some class in high school? My guess would be it hasn't happened, that she hasn't read a book for decades because she is a stupid, stupid person who is incurious about the world around her. She's a bomb thrower. She's there to own the libs and nothing else. She's not there to write legislation. She's not there to present policy ideas to better your life. She's there to be a showman.
Yeah, definitely. We are just a few minutes out from the next polls closing in Nevada. And we are looking at Maricopa County right now, where 99% of the ballots will be counted by Friday, they are saying. So we are looking at the House election results. Remember, we need 218 seats for control. Right now, 83 seats are Republicans and 47 seats are Democrats, is the breakdown there. And you have it up for Senate 41-40. So that's the important thing that we are looking at in terms of who's going to have control.
Looking at it right. I think you can probably see my mouse on here. But these are the elements that we're looking at here. Control of Congress, and then of course over here are the Senate on this side with the 41-40, and the Republicans over here. So as you can see with the House, as the Washington Post is projecting right now, I'm noticing that they are very, very conservative on their picks. They really want to get it right. They're making projections far after the networks are making them. So right here, the Democrats we're down 2 seats in the race to maintain the House, and Republicans are up 2 seats. Where in the Senate, we're now about where we're supposed to be. So we'll see, but we're up. It's 41-40 as far as what's been called.
Yeah, for sure. Are we almost at 2 hours in the live?
We are.
Is that what
2 hours?
2 hours. Wow. It's been almost 2 hours with you guys. And so far there's been plenty of comments. We really appreciate you guys being here with us. Thank you so much. Don't forget, you can connect with us on Twitter while you still can.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are going to stay. We're not going to cede any ground. We're not going to give up. We're not going to leave. I'm trying to make it a principled decision. We're just too lazy to leave Twitter. That's what it's. We're not.
I thought you meant the country.
No, I'm talking about Twitter. So you can follow us there at Dollemore, at Brittany E. Page. We are also on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my new YouTube channel.
Yes.
YouTube.com/at Brittany E. Page. I would love to see you guys there and connect with you there. That would be awesome. Let's get to a few comments here. Tommy H. Great to see you, Jesse. Brittany is still the best.
Brittany is absolutely the best part. That is a common refrain on the podcast. If you don't listen, if you're not subscribed, I guess we're just going to go through a whole plug here to our twice weekly podcast called I Doubt It. We talk about the news. We talk about the politics. We talk a little bit about our lives at the top of each show. And it is a good time. I'm a lot less buttoned up on the podcast. If you're not a fan of the F word, it's probably not for you. But a long time ago, someone called in, and when they signed off on a voicemail, because we play a lot of voicemails every single show, they signed off and they said, "Bye, Brittany's the best part. See you later," or something like that. Why can't I play it 100,000 times? And that's what that comes from. Is that Brittany's the best part.
Is this live on the TV? I think
yes.
It may be behind a little bit because of the time, because it turned 10 and it's saying that it's 2 minutes before the next polls close. Is that an error on their part, or are the polls going to close after 10? That seems weird.
Well, I mean, it's probably 30 seconds behind.
Okay.
It's probably a minute or two because it's just, cable.
Okay. All right. So, yes, thank you everyone for your support. We really appreciate that. We are continuing to follow the races that everyone cares about. It seems like a lot of people are stressed about the Texas governor race in particular
Yep.
because Greg Abbott is 8 points ahead right now with 53% of the votes in. Walker is still up. Just 1 point, though. This is going to be a very close one in Georgia.
Yeah,
Very
crazy.
close in Georgia. 71% of the votes are in there. And Herschel Walker, the very real police officer, is up 1 point.
Yeah, it's something I was wrong about. I thought it would not be this close. I thought I still contend that I think Raphael Warnock will win, but I thought it would be more of a runaway. I thought it would be more 3, 4, 5 points, and it's looking like it's going to be a squeaker.
So Fetterman's lead has also gone down a bit. He is up 5 points still with 38% of the votes in. This is going to be very disappointing if Dr. Oz wins. I thought that John Fetterman had just a fantastic campaign, very great on social media.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It was unfortunate that he had the stroke. I think that the right really capitalized on the fear that people had in John Fetterman's ability to do his job because of his debate performance. And as we talked about earlier in the live stream, really, Dr. Oz is going to continue to be a charlatan and a terrible person, and John Fetterman is going to get better. He is temporarily struggling with his health, but that is something that will improve over time. And Dr. Oz will always believe that abortions are between the patient, the doctor, and their local political leaders, like he said at the debate.
That is a remarkable thing to open up your mouth hole and have fall out of it. That abortion is between a woman, her doctor, and the local political leaders. Are they also in the exam room? Dr. Oz,
Well,
New Jersey resident.
I love that he thought it was such a winning line because he's like, no, please, I don't want the federal government.
Yeah.
I don't want the federal government involved in this decision, but local political leaders, they kind of need to be involved.
He's also a doctor, a medical doctor who has hawked miracle weight loss pills and green coffee beans and every nightmare snake oil salesman device that he could possibly put on his show, sniffing people's piss in vials on his stupid TV show. He is a reprehensible grifter, and the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will be worse if he is their senator. Ugh.
We have a comment here from Blair. Blair, if Democrats would just be populist like Sanders, they would render the Republican Party irrelevant. The problem is that our political elites embraced austerity politics for the masses.
Yeah, I tend to believe this. Blair is saying it very fervently, which I usually want to retract from a little bit, but I tend to believe this, that if Democrats, because one is like, there is a worry about inflation if the government just prints a bunch of money and spends it in whatever these programs are. But that's not what took place here. That's not why we're facing inflation right now. In fact, some of the inflation in pricing that we see is because of absolutely clear-cut cases of price gouging. When you have Shell and these oil companies making record profits they've never seen before that just so happen to coincide with inflation. No. When a barrel of oil is the same price that it was a year or 2 years ago, or whatever the metric is, yet gas is $1 more per gallon, it is proof that they are gouging us at the pump. And it's not because of larger macroeconomic issues related to inflation. And Democrats need to do a better job of communicating, like we were talking about earlier, of this is what we can do for you to make your life better. When Joe Biden talked about canceling student debt and then mealy mouths it with $20,000 in student debt that he'll erase if you got a Pell Grant, rather than just erase it all. So I'm with you, Blair. I'm with you. I think that we as Democrats, we as people who do care about the country, we as thought leaders need to do a better job of communicating what our values are and what we would believe we can do to make the lives of Americans better.
So it is 10:05. And that means we recently had a few polls close. We had Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Utah, and Oregon. The polls closed in those 5 states. In Nevada, it's the last big swing state that is up for grabs. I think Utah is expected to be pretty much completely red, given that it's Utah.
Well, let's take a look, because there is that Mike Lee race with Evan McMullen, and people were saying that was supposed to be close. I would be shocked if Evan McMullen was going to pull that out. But let's take a look at those numbers here.
Let's also say that Evan McMullen is an independent.
Conservative. He's for sure conservative.
He's definitely a conservative. It's not as though this is like a Democratic independent. I believe is a former Republican. I'm not totally sure on
without
that,
a doubt. Also an employee of the CIA. I mean, there's some bad shit there.
He definitely was against Trump early on.
Yes.
I think that's how he became a prominent voice on social media and gained a following, was by being anti-Trump and being a conservative who was anti-Trump.
Yeah, and see, listen, this is something that I like to try to sway people on. There's such a tendency for people to oh, if this person is anti-Trump, then they're for us, then they're on our team. And that's just not the case. There's lots of people who are anti-Trump who have bad, pernicious ideas that harm minorities, that harm the gay community, that harm Americans of all kinds of different stripes. And we can't bring them into the fold just because we share a common enemy. So I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but I stand pretty firm on that belief.
Well, speaking of things that people disagree with, this is Gary saying, hard to get our message out when the right owns most of the media, radio, and television. When we talked about follow us on Twitter, most of the comments and response were negative in the chat. I don't do Twitter. I just left Twitter. People should leave Twitter. And I totally understand that because Twitter has become a hellscape. It's a nightmare there right now. And Elon Musk is an absolute nightmare. However, I really believe that this is an important message that Gary is saying. And I don't want this to be like a surreptitious promotion of our channels and independent media, because really I want you to support any progressive media that you prefer, but you should really support it. And I'm talking about liking, sharing.
Yeah, it's not always money.
Yeah, giving things views, giving things likes, sharing the channel with people. And I'm not just talking about our channel. I'm saying any progressive media, any independent media that you really like. This is very true, Gary, that the right wing has the structure, has the infrastructure in place,
right,
to get the messages out that they want to. And with Elon Musk now at the helm of Twitter, where he can dictate the speech rules for millions of people and determine the access to information that millions of people are going to be able to have, that is very scary when he's blatantly and openly saying vote for Republicans and censoring the speech of, so far, primarily liberals who are making fun of him on his social media platform. So we're in a really disturbing place. And I think that it's up to us to really support the media outlets that we feel are doing a good job and that are honest players,
without a doubt,
in this realm.
Well, I talk about it all the time at the end of videos when I say, look, if you find value in someone else more than me, support that person. If it's Farron Cousins, Farron was on earlier, then go support Farron, become a channel member of Farron. If it's David Pakman, if it's Jeff Waldorf, if it's any number of TYT, whatever, support independent media, progressive independent media, because the right does own so much. They do, they command the eyeballs. And I'm not even talking about just Fox News or Newsmax or OAN. I'm talking about CNN now has this conservative lean to it where they want to both sides all of this nonsense. And that is why right now, more than ever, independent media is so important. So if it is us, thank you so much. We invite your support and your sharing, your involvement, your engagement with the content. We do. But if it is somebody else, then yes, lean in and give them that support. It's scary out there right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, very scary. especially with the nightmare human being Elon Musk at the helm. Okay, it seems like a lot of people are coming around on that. I feel like
Finally.
we used to talk about Elon Musk. We used to talk about Joe Rogan, both of them being terrible on I Doubt It podcast for a long time.
And Tulsi Gabbard and Glenn Greenwald.
And we would get just a torrent of people writing in saying, you guys are so wrong. How dare you say this? Blah, blah, blah. And now we're feeling pretty good.
I don't know about you, Brittany, but I really like to be right. It is fantastic to be able to toot my own horn.
Yes, yes. So Abbott is 9 points ahead with 56% of the votes in. That is one race that people are definitely concerned about in the comments.
Okay, let's go to Texas.
People are wondering, how could this continue to happen? How could this happen again?
Well, it is because, add to stream. Texas, the governor race right now sits at 53.6% to 45.1. Even with a libertarian who's not siphoning off as much vote from Greg Abbott as you would hope. But even if you look at the map here, it is a tremendous number in these populated areas. That Beto here, 74.8% of the vote to 24.1. But there's so many little areas that are rural or suburban to Dallas, as you look at all of these areas that I'm poking around in here, that are causing, again, the fear that they've stoked in white people who live in these suburban neighborhoods of Dallas. Not so much in Houston, but a little bit in Harris County in Texas here. They are problematic because they have given legitimacy. It's fake because there isn't some white people are second-class citizens, that we're losing power. There isn't white genocide or the great replacement theory. None of this is happening, but they're convincing people enough of it that they're still voting for a train wreck of a human being and a governor of Greg Abbott. Corrupt. It's mind-blowing to me.
Let's get a few comments here. We have one from Arthur. Hey, just got home from working the polls. Thank you very much for working the polls.
Yeah.
That is awesome. We need more people who are not conspiracy theorists doing that. So
I saw a picture today. Somebody posted from Twitter of someone who was a poll worker with a MAGA hat on. And they were allowing him to sit in there and work the polls.
You can't even go in as a voter wearing political attire.
To that note, I saw someone tweet that a woman, they wouldn't let her vote with her shirt on that had a political message. So she took the shirt off and voted in her bra. I mean, but MAGA hats apparently A-okay. So
wow,
not right.
That is wild.
I hope not. Eyes of Lazar. Is that Area 51 Nutter Butter? The picture? Or is that,
I don't know.
Was his name Bob Lazar? Anyway, I don't know that democracy dies tonight. I think the jury is still out. It is certainly a nail in the coffin of democracy if Republicans take control of both the House and the Senate. But I'm not willing yet to call it. So
this race is a bummer. The Republican has defeated Elaine Luria in Virginia. Yeah. Elaine Luria was the Democrat on the January 6th committee, and her district was redrawn, I believe.
Yeah.
And so she was just defeated. She was on the January 6th committee. So,
which, by the way, we should talk about Katie Porter's district. I'll go to that right now.
So there are consequences, let's just say, not only for the Republicans on the January 6th committee, but also the Democrats. Yeah. The Democrat on the January 6th committee was defeated by the Republican.
So here's California. I don't know how many. It looks like none are in.
The polls have not closed.
Oh, the polls have not closed because it's 3 hours behind us. So they'll probably close at 8 o'clock, and then we'll have the reason I wanted to talk about it. We'll probably be off the air by then. We'll see. Katie Porter, our former congresswoman, we lived in her district when we lived in California. She is in a very tight, very tough race because of redistricting. It's no longer the 48th or the 46th. It's the 47th district of California. And she's in the political fight of her life, running against like the party chairman, Scott Baugh, this just a vile Republican troll.
And again, because of redistricting,
Yeah.
Katie Porter, one of the most important members of Congress,
Without a doubt.
may be out of a job tonight. I mean, that is what a tremendous loss for our country and for the people in this country if Katie Porter loses her election.
Yeah, we have there's a new breed of congressperson in America, and two people come to mind as being fantastic communicators of policy ideas, people who are able to distill complex concepts into easy to understand tidbits. In the information age that we live in, it's important. One is the aforementioned Katie Porter, and the other is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And you should know that the most effective people, you should know that just how effective they are with how the heat is turned up on them by conservatives. So when AOC is attacked over and over and over, left and right by conservatives, you know she's doing good work. The same goes for Katie Porter. We need more AOCs. We need more Katie Porters. We need more Elizabeth Warrens. These types who can communicate their ideas, because by communicating the idea, you can convince someone of the idea. And we need to be changing hearts and minds a lot more than we do now.
AOC won her race. It was called with 51% reporting.
Tina Forte.
Yeah, she beat Tina Forte, who wouldn't Tina Forte like brag about being like trashy? Wouldn't she like explicitly say that? Like,
I don't know about those words, but she certainly was selling it.
Oh, I thought she would like call herself trashy and say that it was,
maybe.
Was I reading into?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway.
She's trash for sure.
Very happy that AOC.
Just as a thought. Trash.
That is your favorite.
I love that on
TikTok.
TikTok.
That is your favorite TikTok sound right now. So this is very good news. We love AOC. We are very much pro AOC.
A Spamberger, former CIA agent, beat Yesli Vega in Virginia. That is a giant win because they were not sure that would go that way. That Yesli Vega, the Trump-backed maniac, former cop, again, why you're voting for a cop, has been defeated, or he did not win the race. Spamberger will be back in Congress. So that is one seat that we don't have to worry about anymore.
So remember, we need 218 seats in the House for control. And right now it stands at 48 Democrats and 87 Republicans.
Right here.
I believe Republicans have had 5 pickups in the House so far for their elections. And right now it is neck and neck with Walker and Warnock. Look at that. Both have 49%. 79% of the vote is in, and they're both just over 1.5 million votes. I cannot believe it's going to be this close.
Yeah. Here we go. Here it is. The U.S. Senate. Senator Raphael Warnock is running for his first full term in the United States Senate after winning his seat in a special election in a runoff, an outcome that flipped the Senate to Democratic control. His Republican challenger, Herschel Walker, a totally real, not prop cop, whose messy campaign has surfaced multiple controversial allegations and of past indiscretions. Walker is one of 15 election deniers running for the Senate this year. That is scary. The race is considered a toss-up, reflecting Georgia's electoral shift from solidly Republican to decidedly purple. And as you can see here, these numbers are indeed not great. And here is where the rub is. Here's where you need to pay attention, is that we don't know exactly where the precincts are that the vote needs to come in from. So if we're looking in Fulton County, for instance, 63% of the vote has been counted. That leaves a large percentage where Warnock is getting 76% of the vote. So there are still totals to come down that look good for Raphael Warnock. So it's not a done deal here. It's not looking good right now, but that's not necessarily at the end of the game.
Yes. So we have a comment here from Bryant. Please look at Benny Thompson's district, chair of the January 6th committee.
Let me go to Mississippi. Hang on one second.
That is the Mississippi 2nd Congressional District election results.
Okay, we'll take the comment down, Bryant's comment, and we'll put this back up on screen. And I will look at Mississippi, and we'll look at the 2nd district.
Mississippi 2nd Congressional District, Benny Thompson, the chair of the January 6th committee by special request. We're going to look at what is happening there. I believe 30% of the votes are in Benny Thompson's race.
This is 35%, and it's too early to tell, obviously, but my guess would be that Benny Thompson is going to come out of this a winner. He's been there a long time. Biden won that district by 26 points. I think it's going to be a solid, easy win for Benny Thompson. But thank you for if there's any others that you want to see, we'd love to pop them up.
Just got a Washington Post news alert. More than 75 election deniers have already won midterm races tonight.
That makes me want to ask the gentlemen who are moving to the UK or thinking about it if they have an extra bedroom.
Yeah. A majority of Republican nominees on the ballot Tuesday for the House, Senate, and key statewide offices. We've been live streaming for over 2 hours. 291 in all have denied or questioned the outcome of the last presidential election. The Post will track the outcomes of their contest in real time on election night. I thought this would be an update, and it was not.
It's all good information. It is all good
It's all just how they are going to follow it. I thought it was going to be specifics on the exact people who are election deniers who have won their elections, and it was not. So it is too early to call Senate races in key states of Arizona, Georgia, New Hampshire. So stay tuned for those races. I'm happy to hear that so many of you are following this so closely, though. For the Senate, it looks like they just called a race for a Democrat because the Senate went from 41 to 42. So right now the Senate is at 42 Democrats and 41 Republicans.
Yeah. So we're keeping that lead. We're ticking up, but we'd have to know exactly which races. We don't have the bandwidth here or the staff. It really literally is just Brittany and I right now running the show here. So stick with us.
You know what, though? We do a good job.
I think we are doing a good job.
We do a pretty good job.
I like patting myself on the back.
We're doing great.
Well, let's have some questions here from ye old audience.
All right. Carly says, listen, we need to know if Sweepy will be making appearances as our collective mental health support puppy when things get rough.
Sweepy is downstairs protesting in the living room right now.
She was barking for a period of time.
She was.
I heard her. She's like, what are you guys doing up there? What are you doing?
I know you're up there. I can hear you yelling. She probably will not make an appearance, but she is our 9-month-old or 10-month-old now.
9 months. Yeah.
9-month-old English bulldog puppy who is a wonderful. She is my emotional support animal.
Absolutely.
Even when she's a maniac like she was today, I love her.
Yes.
So thank you, Carly. We appreciate it. Alicia Reed, $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate it so much. Every little bit goes, I need to think of a better way to say it, but really,
it's true,
every single bit goes a long way to supporting, keeping the lights on, expanding our operation, growing the channel, building out better studios. It just, every bit. It's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Alan Dean, this is for Brittany's coffee fund.
Nice.
Thank you.
Not for the tea fund, huh? Great.
Okay, well, Jesse is upset now because of the tea fund is lacking. So this is good news. 47% is reporting in the Wisconsin Senate race, and Mandela Barnes is ahead by about 30,000
that's
votes
great
right now. So that's great. If Ron Johnson could be ousted, we would all be having a great night.
Let's go to Wisconsin here on the screen. Take a look. Tony Evers looks to be doing very well. Not all the vote has been counted, but moving to the Senate, Mandela Barnes, 50.7% to 49.3%. 50.3% of the vote has been counted. That is a good run up. But again, early voting typically goes Democrat. People show up at the polls that are Republicans, also Democrats. But the absentee ballot and the mail-in voting and early voting really tends to lean Democrat. So we will keep following this one. It's also a very important race because this would be a pickup. If Mandela Barnes was able to defeat Ron Johnson, it would be a loss of a seat for the Republicans and a gain because Ron Johnson is the incumbent. And we can even do the old fancy thing, so you know what they look like. Ron Johnson, the fascist enabler. I mean, I was trying to think of his election denying. He was a person that when he first came into office as a senator, came out of a business background, and people thought he would be kind of a middle of the road, milquetoast type of senator representing the state of Wisconsin. And he ended up really leaning heavy into the Donald Trump conspiracy camp. And he is a reliable Donald Trump toady now. It's alarming, to say the least.
All right, let's get to a question here from Noah. Jesse, Dollemore, any suggestions for engaging with Republican family members about their politics when they tell you they aren't willing to engage with sources you send because we just aren't going to agree?
Yeah, I'm the wrong guy to ask. I am estranged from my parents and have been for 15, 17, a long time. These are conversations that we have on I Doubt It podcast every holiday season because people call in with this very question. And you would think that I would have at this point come up with some kind of a cogent answer, but I just don't have one. Every family dynamic is different. And it sounds like you're still willing to put in the work, and that's a good thing. I think it's just keep chipping away. Do you have any family dynamic advice as a therapist? Or?
Well, I mean, it's such a personal thing. And I think that, Noah, you probably have limits in mind for when it will become enough for you to distance yourself from having conversations that are, mentally straining. And I think for some people like Jesse, it becomes too much where it just becomes a disconnection from family members that won't listen or are abusive or say things that are hateful. I think other people have a higher tolerance for trying to have conversations with family members who do those things. And so it really is a personal decision of what those limits are going to be for you. If you have someone who says, listen, we're just never going to agree, stop sending these sources, I'm not going to read them, that sounds like someone you're probably not going to be able to get through to. But if you have a family member who is interested in reading your sources, in hearing from you, even if they say, we're just not going to agree on this, there is a possibility that there is enough openness that maybe you'll see a change.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesse is a former Republican.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Nazi family where I didn't believe the Holocaust happened until I was in 10th grade. So listen, people can change. And that happens through conversation, that happens through education. And unfortunately, because of the political landscape, a lot of people are really locked in with conspiracy theories, and it's tough to get through with just facts.
Now, more than ever now.
Yeah, and it's tough to get through with just facts. But if you have strong relationships with your family members and you use the shared experiences that you have and other things outside of just the factual sourcing on articles, then maybe you'll be able to get somewhere. But knowing where that line is of when to put up a firmer boundary, when to disconnect, that's super personal and something that people need to navigate individually.
Keep us posted, Noah. I'd love to know how it goes. And thanks for the question. Thanks for the comment. Good discussion.
Absolutely. So let's get to another one here. Thank you, Andrew, for the super sticker.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
We also have Gene Anthony, a new YouTube member. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Amber Johnson.
What a great profile picture that was. Very happy.
I'm going to ask, how can the GOP so readily back Walker? He is the embodiment of the stereotypes they have pushed about Black men over the years.
Yeah, listen, Republicans don't have any core values. They don't have an ethos or an ideology that they adhere to. They are opportunists. So they will jettison any principles that they say they've had or for the win. Just like you were talking about earlier, Brittany, Dana Lash, the NRA shill, she said she doesn't care if he paid for 1 million abortions. What matters to her is power. What matters to her is control of the Senate. What matters to her is stepping on she didn't say this last part, but the boot on the neck of women all over the country. That's what matters to Republicans. It doesn't matter. They're not going to adhere to be ideologically consistent because they're liars, they're grifters, they're charlatans, they're dangerous. But thanks for the super chat and the question. It's an age-old dilemma that we face here in the United States, and to a far lesser extent for you in Canada.
Well, and Amber, at least we had honesty from people like Dana Lash when she said that she doesn't care what Herschel Walker has done. She just wants the majority in the Senate. So that really showed their priorities right there, I think. Lisa M. Orlando became a YouTube member. Thank you so very much. Very, very kind. Nemo Nova, here you go, Jesse, for your tea fund.
Aha!
You and Brittany are doing great. Live stream is a big success. Congrats. It's hard to know what success means, but it's good that people think it's a success.
Yeah.
That's how it's defined.
Well, listen, again, I mean, people drop off and maybe it's not all the same people. We talked about it earlier, but I never would have thought we could have for instance, in 2016, Brittany talked about our live stream in 2016, which there was no studio. It really was just sitting on our living room couch in this tiny apartment in Costa Mesa, California. And it ended up being hours long. I thought I would just pop on for 30 minutes and see if anybody was interested in hearing from me. And we went for hours and all kinds of people tuned in. So at the 2020 election, we did a live stream and 60,000 people tuned in. I don't think that's like all at once, just like right now, there's 1,125 people, but earlier there was like 1,500. So it is a blessing and we are lucky beyond all measure to be able to do what we do. And it's only because of you, Nima Nova, and everybody else who's joined and taken part in this. We appreciate you very much.
Absolutely. And shout out to Stone Bowl for $1 super thanks or super chat or whatever, all the different
things.
It
looks like a super chat without a question. Fantastic. No, that's good. Right on.
Yes. So thank you very much for that. Let's do a check-in with some of these results. Right now, the House, 96 Republicans, 55 Democrats.
Let me go back to that page.
And Greg Abbott in Texas is up 10 points with 59% of the votes in.
Not good.
Not good at all. Fetterman is up 4 points with 55% of the votes in.
All right.
Kathy Hochul is up 24 points with 35% of the votes in.
She's going to win.
Mandela Barnes is up 0.5 points with 53% of the votes in.
I really hope that's an important race, you guys. That is a fantastically important race because, again, it is taking out a Republican who is currently serving. Ron Johnson is the incumbent. So if Mandela Barnes wins, it's a net gain. It's a loss for Republicans. It's not a wash like some of these races. For instance, in the Ohio race, neither one of these people is the incumbent. They are replacing someone who is leaving. Pennsylvania, another one. There is no Pennsylvania senator who's running for office again. Both of these gentlemen, Fetterman and Oz, are going to be the new senator in that position. Where in Wisconsin, I don't need to over-explain. Everybody gets it.
So
everybody's like, "All right, shut the F up. We get it. Shut up."
So unfortunately, this is some bad news. In Kentucky, Rand Paul, the race has been called for Senator Rand Paul against Charles Booker with 71% of the votes counted. He is ahead. He has 60% of the votes there. So Charles Booker lost against Rand Paul, and unfortunately Rand Paul was reelected in Kentucky.
Also, to be expected, we shouldn't be super depressed about that, because that was the wildly likely outcome. After all, it is Kentucky.
I like how you're being consistent, though, on the things that we expect, because we shouldn't get too upset about things that we expected, and we shouldn't get too excited about things that we expected.
People get worked up, and they feel that like deflated. They get depressed. I don't want people bummed out. I mean, if it was to be, that's the way it's going to happen. Let's focus on the things that are really going to move the needle. That was one that everyone, he's dumb shit McGee, Rand Paul.
Yeah. So right now, the House, 98 Republicans, 55 Democrats. Remember, we need 218 for control of the House.
We're still only down 2 from where we need to be.
And Republicans have had 5 pickups.
Yeah. And as far as the Senate is concerned, we are still up 1 seat, 42 to 41.
Yes.
There are 29 races in the Senate. See, in the House, I don't know how much, the entire House of Representatives is up for re-election every 2 years. And the Senate, only 1/3 of the Senate is up every 2 years. So right now there are 29 seats in the Senate that aren't even up for re-election, because it's not in their cycle yet. They'll be up next year, or the next midterm, or the next general election, or the next midterm, because it's 6-year terms rather than 2-year terms.
Dark Pepsi says that Josh Shapiro is the projected winner for Pennsylvania.
Josh Shapiro?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I projected that one. I predicted that one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing, because I let me go to the page here, because
we like to toot the horn if you're going to be. There we go.
Because Doug Mastriano is a dangerous, maybe next to Carrie Lake, he and she are the most dangerous candidates running for governor across the country right now. And I would say he's even more dangerous because of the system they have in place in Pennsylvania, where the governor appoints the Secretary of State. So he would appoint his own hand-picked election denier to be the one who administers elections in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And that is indeed scary. Let's find Pennsylvania here. It's alphabetical, and apparently I'm having a hard time.
On Pennsylvania, on the Washington Post results, I think are the ones that we are preferring to go with today.
Yeah.
So for governor, there we see Josh Shapiro.
They have not chosen him as the winner, but if that is, I haven't seen it yet. We'll look for it on the TV that is running here.
Yeah, I wonder, Dark Pepsi, I believe, made that comment, who has projected that Josh Shapiro is going to be the winner. Because, these different media outlets will choose to call these races at different times. They don't do it all in unison.
Right.
They will choose to do it at different
times. They
times.
each have their own, what they call their decision desk, where they've got some statisticians and some math nerds in the back, trapped in a closet doing their little calculations. And then they're the ones who make the decision for the anchors to when a race is called.
Right.
People who are experts, they know the percentage of vote that remains and whether it's statistically or mathematically even possible for a candidate to come back from whatever deficit they face.
Absolutely. Shout out to Ed for the $5 super sticker. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed. We appreciate it
very much. So the next polls are going to close in about 21 minutes. We have been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes, just about, coming up on 3 hours. The longest we've ever done this when we do these election results is over 5 hours.
5 hours and 17 minutes was our 2020. And we had a producer in-house who was actually doing the switching and doing all the stuff we're doing here. It was a little easier.
We're professionals. We're managing.
Speak for yourself, Brittany.
We're doing everything. We're getting it done. TJ's tossing out the promotional links
that's nice.
When we need it. So that's helpful.
Is he still on?
I don't know. Oh, that was almost bad.
Almost knocked over your tea.
I punched my tea. I don't know if TJ is still in the comments.
Well, TJ, throw up Brittany's link so everybody can go and subscribe to her channel right now. That would be a super fantastic thing.
YouTube.com/@Brittany E. page, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, YouTube just rolled out these new like YouTube handles. So when you write in the address, it's www.youtube.com/@Brittany
So CNN keeps switching to different counties within states. And so sometimes I will look up and the count will be completely different from what I thought it would be. And then I will realize, oh, it's because John King has zoomed in on a particular county.
Yeah.
When we talk about CNN throughout this live stream, people have said, why are you watching CNN? And that is because we tend to appreciate their election coverage. I like John King.
Well, he's like he has a savant-like understanding of memory for every single county in the United States, not just every county in Pennsylvania or Nevada. He is an election expert. It's remarkable. So I do like their team over there for this.
Yeah, not for other things, but for this.
Yeah.
They have a few good people over there.
No, they do. They do.
Manu Raju, great.
Yeah. To a lesser degree. I mean, Jake Tapper used to be a guy I really liked, and
I like Anderson Cooper. I think he's
yeah.
fantastic.
How would anybody not like him?
Yeah, he was raised rich and somehow is like a normal person. How do you do that?
As normal as he can be, I think.
So Walker is up almost a point at this point. 77% of the votes are in. Greg Abbott holding that 10-point lead with 59% of the votes in. Fetterman's lead has gone down a bit. He's up 3 points with 59% of the votes in. And Johnson is now up in the Wisconsin Senate race. 56% of the votes are in, but he is up just half a point, it looks like, at this point right now.
And again, we don't know. It really depends upon where the vote is coming in from. So if there are counties that are in populated areas or precincts that are in populated areas that tend to go Democrat, that's going to be good for Barnes, good for Mandela Barnes, and bad for the goober here. This piece of white toast with hair stapled to it, Ron Johnson.
It was helpful when I was covering for you during your colon cancer surgery recovery.
Wait, I had what?
Yeah, I know. I'll be careful not to say it too many times because people would say enough with the cancer talk on my videos. But I had a list of your insults on the table that I would sometimes refer to because everybody loves them. Everybody needs them. They want to hear them. It's what makes you you.
It's helpful.
They love that.
Well, I don't think I've ever called Ron Johnson a piece of white bread with a wig stapled to it.
He looks unhappy in that photo.
He does look unhappy.
Yeah, he looks pretty unhappy. Shout out to David Vincent for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Very kind.
Very kind.
Carly highlighted that last time we took breaks during our 5-hour live stream, and we're almost to 3 hours and we haven't taken a break.
Should we take a break?
We can take a break. You want to take a break?
So I'm going to take a break. I need to fire up the tea kettle one more time and get some new tea. We're going to play a little countdown to let people who are just coming onto the stream know that we will be right back. Don't leave. Hang out. We will return in just a matter of a few minutes. And there you are. You're back. So, very brief break. Everybody bailed? Not everybody. You know, I was just checking Twitter real quickly, and it is remarkable the lack of integrity that Republicans have and Republican media figures have. I'm looking at this tweet. It's a clip from like a round table with the Daily Wire where Michael Knowles is there, Matt Walsh is there, Ben Shapiro is there, Candace Owens is there, and this is from Jason Campbell. He says, when asked what Biden should be impeached for, Candace Owens says, ridiculous question. It doesn't matter. Just impeach him. And then Matt Walsh adds, impeach him and we'll figure it out afterwards. This is the level of lack of integrity, if you will, that we're facing as an electorate. That it really is, I don't care. The party of abortion is murder. I don't care how many abortions Herschel Walker has paid for. We just need the Senate. Who cares about the thing we rattle the cages and act like it's so moral and we have the moral upper hand? Who cares about that? What really matters is power. What really matters is a majority in the Senate, not any adherence to any ideology. Remarkable. Just remarkable.
So I took Sweepy out for potty and did not know that the break was timed, like an official time, and that we were going to be back on at a specific time. And so
apparently I'm not a good communicator.
That's why I was not here when things initially picked back up. So you're certainly not this, but I am a low energy Jeb because I'm starting to get tired after almost 3 hours of the live streaming of election results. And I feel like we haven't had any substantial great news to help give me the stamina that I need to
buoy your spirits.
Yes, to really help me continue and feel excited about everything that's going on right now. We have additional Republicans that have picked up seats in the House. It is now 102 Republicans and 58 Democrats. Remember, we need 218 for control in the House. So,
well, and also, if you keep in mind, we are still at that -2. We're not losing much ground, though. It's still at the same level we've been for most of the time. The Senate still up by 1, 42 to 41. That's it's good. We're going to see what takes place once California closes and some of the redistricting that happened there. It could be a less than ideal time for the House, especially.
So I'd be interested to hear from you guys. What are some of the races that John Kennedy, winner, just called against Gary Chambers? Eric Schmidt, winner in Missouri Senate, just called against Trudy Valentine. I would love to hear from you guys. Which races are you worried about that haven't been called? What are you thinking about? What are you worried about? They also just called it for Chuck Grassley as well.
Yeah.
How old is Chuck Grassley?
Seriously, like 98 years. He is so old.
Let's see.
It is insane that he's running again for another 6-year term.
89 years old. He just turned 89 September 17th.
At least he does seem to have his faculties about him. I mean, he's still wrong and a bigot and terrible, but you know.
Is that at least he has his faculties about him, unlike Dianne Feinstein, for example?
Yeah, for instance, yeah, which is sad. But you don't have any business representing our most populous state when you are forgetting people you've known for years. I mean, it's very sad. It's tragic, but you need to step aside and maybe just give up, pass the torch to the next generation of political leaders. I mean, it's what needs to happen without a doubt.
So we're continuing to watch these key races, the popular races that you guys are worried about, including Greg Abbott in Texas, who just gained another point. He is now up 11 points with 62% of the votes in. As we continue to see that percentage of votes in increase, unfortunately, his lead has either stayed the same or he's even gained a point. Fetterman is now 2 points up in Pennsylvania in the Senate race with 66% of the votes in. Walker is almost a point ahead with 77% of the votes in Georgia. So we are continuing to watch that.
The prop cop, Herschel Walker.
The very real officer of the law, Herschel Walker.
Ugh.
Very real officer.
So
guys.
is there any state that I should go to look at some results, or did you just cover everything?
I certainly did not cover everything, but people are worried about Arizona in the comments.
Okay.
So I don't think Arizona is showing anything meaningful yet, but we can go and check and see what they are showing.
So I do want to look at Arizona. We'll go to that next because it's certainly some races there that we want to look at. But I also really want to look at this Boebert thing. Twitter is exploding right now with a bunch of Boebert news because it looks like she really might lose here. Adam Frisch, her opponent, is laying a beat down on her, 52-48. That's a 4-point swing percentage wise, with 69% of the vote in. That is a big deal. So good news there.
Let's go with a defeat for Lauren Boebert. Why do I struggle to say her name?
I don't know.
It is very much a struggle for me every time.
So let's go to Arizona. Which particular race do we want to take a look at? The governor, Katie Hobbs, leads right now. 47% of the vote has been counted.
Oh, wow.
Pretty big, but remember, early voting, mail-in voting is going to be not primarily, but predominantly Democrat. So I have a lot of faith in the American people. I think that there is enough action in Arizona relative to these populated areas like Phoenix, that there are some real decency there, and I hope they can make enough of a showing of it to expel Kari Lake from the conversation, because she, as we will throw up the images here, she is a nightmare. Kari Lake is, like Brittany mentioned earlier, she describes herself as Trump in a dress, which is accurate. She models her behavior after Trump. She models her gestures after Trump. She models her mocking and ridicule of the press after Trump. And it has risen her stock, as it were, as a politician in Arizona with the MAGA crowd. And she is even now casting doubt on the election results, only if she loses, though. If she wins, everything's on the up and up. But if she loses, that's the problem. Here is a clip we played at the very beginning of the stream. We'll play it one more time. This was her hours ago, maybe 2 p.m. Arizona time, casting doubt on the election results.
My ballot into a box and they would drive it downtown to count it. This is not normal stuff. We don't have to have elections run this way. We switched from a Republican area to vote. We came right down into the heart of liberal Phoenix to vote because we wanted to make sure that we had good machines. And guess what? They've had zero problems with their machines today. Not one machine spit out a ballot here today. Not one, in a very liberal area. So we were right to come and vote in a liberal area. They gotta fix this problem. This is incompetency. I hope it's not malice, but we're gonna fix it. We're gonna win. And when we win, there's gonna be a come to Jesus for elections in Arizona. There's gonna be a come to Jesus.
So that's Kari Lake there, casting doubt on election results, that the reason she came to Phoenix, the liberal bastion of Phoenix, to vote is because there they don't have any voting problems. It's only in conservative areas like Maricopa County, in the more red areas, the precincts, that's where the problems are. It's all lies. It's not backed by any actual information. It is just conjecture and conspiracy, casting doubt on the legitimacy of our democracy itself.
So right now it is still early in Wisconsin, but it's looking close in the counties where most of the vote is in. Senator Ron Johnson is running ahead of Trump. He is ahead of Mandela Barnes right now. It is still early, though, so it hasn't been called yet for Ron Johnson. We are just 2 minutes away from polls closing in California and Washington. So we talked about how we are concerned about Katie Porter's district specifically. That is where we moved from when we moved to Washington, D.C., was Katie Porter's district.
It is now the 47th district of California, Katie Porter's district.
Her district was redistricted.
It's now Laguna Beach, Irvine, California, if you know the geography there, Huntington Beach, California, which is a mega hellscape, and some other areas in Orange County. It's a pretty large, wide-ranging district, both geography-wise, but also population-wise. Huntington Beach is a lot more conservative, a lot more white supremacy oriented, where a place like Irvine, which is like 39% Asian, is a lot more liberal, a lot more reasonable. We witnessed it when we lived there. We moved from a more conservative area to Irvine, California, and it was in the midst of the pandemic, and you could really tell how things went and how the change was based on where we moved to and from, with the protests against masks and the vaccine and everything else, into more of a reasonable city.
Right. So we will definitely be watching the Katie Porter race. We also had Congressman Mike Levin on I Doubt It podcast years ago when he was first running for election. And apparently his race is also a toss-up. So we'll be interested to see. Apparently Orange County is going backward. For a long time, Orange County was red, very, very red.
I mean, the airport in Orange County is John Wayne Airport. So it's very conservative.
Right. And then it went blue, I think, after Trump was elected. And now it seems to be going back to red, which is scary. Also not surprising given the way COVID went in Orange County, as we talked about. So we're definitely going to be watching the Katie Porter race, because to lose Katie Porter in Congress would be a tremendous loss. So New York Times has called the governor's race in Texas for Greg Abbott.
Yeah. It's a bummer. It is a bummer. I don't know that Beto is the right choice to be running. I think he's fine. I think he's swell, but we need someone who really connects with progressives. I think really that's the winning strategy all across the country, is to quit trying to mealy mouth the policy objectives of a candidate. We see time and time again, when you lay it all out there and spell out your policies, spell out what your objectives are for the country, and it's progressivism, that's what wins. It's not trying to be as Republican as you can as a Democrat. That doesn't work. It's why our former congressman, Harley Ruda, lost his election, bragging about how the Chamber of Commerce endorsed him and everything. So I don't know. It's just one man's opinion, and I'd love to know what you think about it. But I think we need to set ourselves apart and not try to mimic or be just Republican light.
Mike Crapo was just called Republican in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Tammy Duckworth, Democrat, was just called. And Alex Padilla, Democrat in California, was just called. This is a good reminder from Roadside Assistance Guy. Please mention the people that you talk about. Please mention Democrat, whatever name is Republican, whatever their name is, because I don't know who's on what party.
Oh, okay.
This is a great reminder. Sometimes we talk about names and we forget to
absolutely
say the party, because we're so used to talking about these people that we just forget that. And you're totally right, Roadside Assistance Guy. We will definitely do better with that. So Gavin Newsom has been declared the governor of California.
Democrat Gavin Newsom.
Democrat, I'm already fucking it up. So Democrat Gavin Newsom in California, the polls just closed and they immediately called it for him. So that's how close that governor's race was for Gavin Newsom, who is kind of a rising star and a popular guy.
Yeah.
In the Democratic Party. So Janet Mills, Democratic governor in Maine, just won. CNN announced against Paul LePage.
Pritzker in Illinois, Democrat, just won the governor's seat again. Brad Little, Republican in Idaho, it will be governor again. defeated Stephen Haidt.
At least it is not Janice McGeechan.
Yeah, no kidding. Psycho. So still no results here from the Washington Post.
See, this has to be controversial for Republicans, right? They're going to look at this result for Gavin Newsom and think, what's happening here? What does this mean? Well, it means Gavin Newsom is really popular.
I'll reload and see. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those races that Brittany keeps chastising me that, well, that was expected. No one expected this Brian D-bag GOP candidate to win against Gavin Newsom, who is more, they tried to recall him while we lived in California. There was a recall effort to get rid of Gavin Newsom, and it failed miserably. And even since then, he's even more popular. California just became the fourth, if it was its own country, the fourth largest economy on the planet. It's right behind, it's like America, China, India, maybe Germany, and then I don't know exactly what the order is, and then California, if it was its own country. California has an amazing surplus. It is there. Absolutely, there are problems like there is in any state, but on the whole, they're doing a good job.
So our friend Ian is back in the chat, and he had a friend running for Congress in Pennsylvania.
We'll go back and we'll go to Pennsylvania and see Chris DeLuzio, Democrat Chris DeLuzio.
I'm assuming, given the celebration here in Ian's comment, that he won that
right.
race. That would be good news. He also added, "I didn't ruin his Congress seat," so I feel like that means he won. Do you know what this comment's about? I think that his friend's appearance on Ian's podcast.
Oh, right.
The now defunct podcast.
That's right.
Was cut up into attack ads. So you never know what's going to happen when you're friends with Ian. You never know.
Our show's not even on in political ads, ruining people's careers.
Won't that be exciting when that does happen?
If more people subscribe and people know about it, then maybe there's a chance. I wonder how we could get that done.
So District 17 is
District
what
17
is what you're looking for here. Thank you to Jonathan helping us out there.
Chris DeLuzio up by 10 points, 55 to 45, 83% counted. That does look, it hasn't been called by the Washington Post, but it looking pretty good. Also a solid progressive would do very well up there in the Pittsburgh area.
All right. If anyone notices that I keep looking under the table, that is because Sweepy is now in the room with us post break.
Yeah, maybe Carly will get her wish and get to see her emotional support animal.
Yes. So, okay. We are going to go to a question here. Oh, people keep asking about Oregon, and Oregon. Oh, the results are starting to come in for Oregon.
Good. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So Ron Wyden is ahead of the Republican. Ron Wyden is the Democrat road assistance guy.
That's expected.
And it's expected. So don't get excited about it.
Well, it's good because we're not losing a seat there.
Ooh, U.S. House. Democrats are leading in 35 competitive seats.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this is from CNN. The Democrats right now are leading, which is really great, because if we keep the House holding Donald Trump accountable and moving forward with that investigation, which ultimately will be a criminal referral to the Department of Justice, is going to continue. So we need the House. And it is turning the forecast on its ear, because 538 had projected a bad night for both the Senate and the House for Democrats.
Okay, so the Senate is inching closer and closer. So right now for the Senate, 43 Democrats, 44 Republicans. That is where we are at with the Senate. And for the House, is this updated?
I think this is updated.
Washington Post.
Yep.
Okay, so New York Times is calling a few more of the Democratic House seats.
Updated 11:07 right now.
Okay. They just added one. So for the House, it's 80 Democrats and 134 Republicans. Remember, we're trying to get to that 218 for control.
Right. And also keep in mind, don't be bummed out about that number, that 80, because California just closed the polls, and there is a a cadre of Democrats who are going to be popping up, and that number is going to shift pretty rapidly in the next few minutes because their polls just closed.
So for a lot of states, it's going to be a while before we know the results, and Arizona is very much in this realm. The early vote in Arizona has been very strong for Democrat Mark Kelly, but obviously with the in-person votes and the late counted mail votes, those are supposed to favor Blake Masters. So it's looking like a toss-up in that race with Mark Kelly and Blake Masters.
Another
which is really
fascist
unfortunate.
jerk-off, Republican Blake Masters.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wisconsin is still leaning toward Ron Johnson, and that is one we are continuing to follow. Let's go to a comment here. Jacqueline, you want to take this one?
Jacqueline DeBlue, 100-pound super chat. Wow. That's unbelievable.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've been following U.S. politics from the United Kingdom since 2017 to distract myself from the Tories. The Tories in the United Kingdom are the conservatives. The Tories win Brexit, etc. Still trying in 2022 to escape the horror here and the U.S. situation. If as depressing and scary, is more entertaining. Sorry. Love you too, and good luck, Jesse. Well, thank you, Jacqueline. I don't know if it's Jacqueline or Jacqueline. We appreciate it. And, we find that a lot. I don't know whether it's a compliment or whether it is something that should be considered amusing, that so many people from all over the world really do follow our politics because it is such a shit show. You've heard the phrase, probably a lot of people have heard the phrase that if America sneezes, Canada catches a cold, or the United Kingdom catches a cold. It's kind of, it is true, because fascism is on the rise. The conservative nonsense is on the rise. Austerity politics and policies are on the rise here, and then it does trickle out. We see it with Trump, and then Bolsonaro got elected, and you've got Viktor Orban in Hungary. I mean, it is a trend that is happening right now, and it's not something to be proud of. And I am not, and I think millions of Americans are not. And I hope people around the country, around the world, do understand that there are good and decent Americans. And just because we have our jacked up system with the Electoral College doesn't mean that Donald Trump was overwhelmingly popular, that there are good people here who loathed that election result.
They just called the race. CNN just called the race for Brian Kemp, Republican Brian Kemp, for the governor of Georgia, defeating Democrat Stacey Abrams.
Not good. When she ran for governor last time, when Brian Kemp won the governor race, there was a lot of voter suppression that went on. There was a lot of purging of voter registrations, and Stacey Abrams, who is a prodigy, she is a genius. She's so remarkable. She has fought so hard to better the situation in Georgia electorally, and it's almost solely her work and her team's work that we have the situation we have in Georgia, where it could be considered a reliable Democrat race, or at least a toss-up state. Who knew we'd be in a position where we'd have two Democratic senators from the state of Georgia? And it is largely it's largely because of her efforts.
Yeah, that one is very, very disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the next step is for people like Stacey Abrams or Beto O'Rourke, who have run multiple times and who have lost now multiple times. Like, what's next for them?
Well, I can't speak for Beto. I don't know if that was rhetorical, if you really want an answer.
Well, call him up, get him on the phone.
Well, no, I would recommend that Stacey Abrams be the chair of the Democratic Party nationally. I think that she should be, because she is brilliant, doesn't get it done. Brilliant doesn't communicate to the audience exactly how strong Josh Shapiro, they just said, projected to win. Democrat Josh Shapiro, former or current Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Stacey Abrams could do a great deal of work relative to voter turnout, and firing up the base if she was the chair of the Democratic Party. And I think that's the move that needs to be made. No one's out there from the Democratic Party listening to me. No one probably knows my name or who I am, but that's my recommendation. Democrats, get Stacey Abrams at the national level.
So a lot of people looking for Oregon results. So
All right,
we should go check the Oregon results.
I will put it up right now.
And
we'll see how some of the other races, which haven't been called, go, but a meaningful hold for Republicans.
We don't know what he's talking about.
I know. I'm like, were you hearing that, or is that me?
No, it's in our ear. We have our little in-ears in. So I don't know which Oregon race. Ron Wyden is the Democrat, the longtime senator from Oregon. My prediction would be that he's going to win. He's going to run away with this. As you can see right here, with only 30.2% of the vote having been counted, he's at about almost 60%. It is a what do they say? What's the turn of phrase? It's a foregone conclusion that Ron Wyden went. Some key House races here we're looking at.
What about for governor?
Close. Oh, governor?
Yeah, I think someone was asking about Oregon governor. I think it's at the top, the very top of the
governor,
the list there.
Tina Kotek. Looking like it's going to be a Democrat. See, here's the situation with the geography and the electorate in Oregon. You've got the liberal bastion of Portland, and where the most population center is in Oregon, and they really control how Oregon politics is. There's a faction of individuals in Eastern Oregon who want to become part of Idaho. They literally want to secede from their own state and become a part of Idaho. It's not going to happen, but it's discontent. It's the same with Washington. You've got Spokane, Washington on the eastern side, and a bunch of farmland up to like Yakima going west. And then Seattle and the population center there really controls whether Washington and Oregon, the same exact kind of a situation, whether they are Republican or Democrat. And it should be of no surprise to anybody that Tina Kotek is going to end up being the governor, the Democrat, because of that particular dynamic. We got a dog down here who wants some attention.
So people are saying that JD Vance has won, and I haven't seen CNN call that race. I am not seeing New York Times call that race. I don't know if the Washington Post has called that race.
Go to Ohio.
New York Times is saying that their best estimate is that JD Vance is very likely to win. So maybe people are just seeing that it's likely going to be a win for him, but I haven't seen that race has been called yet. But
he's got a pretty sizable lead right now. 8 or 9 points. 88% of the vote has been counted, and JD Vance has 53, going on 54% of the vote. So it is not looking good. Not looking good that the Trump sycophant, again, JD Vance would beat his opponent, Tim Ryan.
Yeah.
Who's a good man.
Yeah. So we have a question here that we're going to get to from YouTube user. How does anyone know the results and outcomes so early in Idaho? Polls closed an hour ago. My phone is showing 0% reported, but has already declared Republicans such as Crapo ahead. This is the same thing in California that we just saw with Gavin Newsom, where because Idaho is such a red state, it's just the way that it's going to be.
Overwhelmingly red state. That Mike Crapo, one, just because this particular website or that particular website doesn't have the results, the networks have the numbers, and if they're calling it, it's because the returns, there's just no way for any opponent to catch up to make any headway to win the state outright. I mean, if we were to look at previous elections to see what the percentage was of Mike Crapo, you'd see just a runaway win. So I hope that probably does not, but answers your question.
So CNN is calling the New Hampshire Senate race for the Democrat.
Good.
So that is good news.
That was not a foregone conclusion. that Hassan would win.
So we need that confetti on the screen. Just imagine it.
Pew!
Imagine that it's there. Okay, let's get a shout out here to some new members. Dale, thank you for becoming a new member. Decora Doll. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Thank you so much. Oh my God, they have just called the race for JD Vance.
Yeah. Not good.
So the Senate is 43 Democrats, 45 Republicans, and 12 seats remain.
Yep.
12 seats remain. So thank you to the new members. Also to Lisa. Lisa, thank you very much for the super chat. Another Lisa became a member. Thank you so much for that. Awesome.
If you are interested in becoming a YouTube channel member, all you have to do is click the join button below, see what's involved. There are different tiers. There's like a $1.99 tier for fewer than $2 a month, just pennies a day. You could support our efforts here, help us produce the content that we produce. Brittany, her channel is not yet monetized. All of the support you would give here would absolutely help support her content as well. We love you guys. We appreciate you. It's fantastic and heartwarming and all of the cliche things that you hear that are absolutely true.
Yes. So let's look at the California returns. We can look at the 47th district because we have a comment here that says that Katie Porter is way ahead. That is from Will Get Better Eventually. Will Get Better Eventually says Katie Porter is way ahead. Yay.
Again, early voting is going to show an advantage for Democrats. But let's see. 46th district, we'll find. Sweep.
Don't know if you guys can hear the dog with her growing protests of us working so late. Normally she's in bed by now.
So here we go. Katie Porter, 47. She is ahead 58 to 42, 41% of the vote counted. But that depends. Now, if those precincts come in from Huntington Beach, then that's going to, in an outsized way, going to favor Scott Baugh, who is the Republican. If those particular precincts are coming in from Costa Mesa, they're going to favor Scott Baugh. Where if a lot of precincts have to come in from the city in which she lives, Irvine, California, sweep, it's going to favor her. So, and not just because that's where she lives, but because it's a far more liberal, far more Democratic leaning precinct in Irvine, California.
And we were also talking about Mike Levin in District 49, who is a former guest on I Doubt It podcast.
Also a big lead.
Yeah, he's ahead.
45% counted. Again, that's south of Orange County. That is North County, Orange County, South County, Orange County. That might even encompass some North San Diego County. But he's another one that we don't want to lose. He is solid on the environment. He is just a solid representative for the district.
Yes, absolutely. So that is definitely something that we will continue to watch. The next polls are going to close in 40 minutes. I don't know if everyone is going to continue to stay awake when your lines are for when you're going to go to bed and not be following the election anymore.
Well, my voice isn't going to hold up, so I'm not going to make it until midnight. Because I also have to get up and work in the morning. I know it's a lot of whining on my part, but the fact remains. So
we have a comment here from Daniel Turner. You are costing me $2.15 a month with tax. You and Brittany are worth every penny. That is very, very kind.
We appreciate it very much.
Yes, we do. And Sandra says, poor doggy up too late. Yes, Sweepy is very upset about being up too late, and Jesse's trying to wrestle her so that you can get a sneak peek of the dog. Here she is. She is camera shy and scared.
Apparently, very freaked out.
Doesn't want to be up here. You're okay, Sweep. You're all right. She's doing good.
Oh, go girl.
She's 9 months old. English bulldog, very sweet, very lovable, loves people, loves kids, loves
very
other
hairy.
dogs. Very, very hairy. She sheds quite a bit.
Oh man, what a nightmare.
Not what we expected. Don't worry, it won't show up on camera. The lighting is too good in here to let that happen. So thank you, Sandra. Yes, I am definitely feeling the effects of live streaming for 3.5 hours with 1 5-minute break. But you know what? We're strong. We can get through this. We will survive. As though what we're doing here is actually hard. We're just sitting here talking. Like, honestly, people actually do hard things out in the world and we're complaining about this. So We are looking at what the next poll's closing in 37 minutes. What are those polls? What is going to close in 37 minutes? Do we know?
Hawaii. I mean, there's other states, Alaska. I can't imagine there's polls staying open until 9 o'clock. Those would be the only two areas I think that polls would be closing. Hawaii and Alaska.
All right, so 86% of the votes are counted in Georgia for the Senate race, and Walker, his lead is very, very small. It is 0.04. 0.04 at this point. Fetterman is up 1.5 points with 74% of the votes in. So the Walker Warnock race, very, very close.
Let's go to Pennsylvania.
Fetterman and Dr. Oz, not as close as Warnock and Walker. Still close, though. Still close as the votes continue to come in.
Yeah, let's go. Let's take a look at this. This is fantastic because, again, early voting, there was a shift that took place where Fetterman led early on, and then Oz picked up a bunch, and now it looks like John Fetterman is gaining some ground, even to be in the lead. That is good news. That means that some of those precincts in the more populated areas, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, are starting to have their returns come in, and it's going for John Fetterman. I can look here. I'll make this full screen so you can see it a little better. But some of these areas here, like Montgomery County, 70.2% of the vote is going for Fetterman, and 50% of the votes have been counted. That means in areas in this county, there's still 50% of the vote to be counted, and up to this point, he's winning 70% of the vote. So there's a whole bunch in a lot of a high populated area that's going to be coming in for Fetterman. He has a real shot at winning this race. That is so great.
So are we likely looking at a runoff in Georgia, the way things stand now?
Let's take a look.
So I think that is going to be one of the main questions. 86% of the votes are in the Senate race in Georgia, with the very real officer of the law, Herschel Walker.
Not a prop cop.
And Raphael Warnock.
It's another interesting situation where Brian Kemp has already been declared the winner by CNN, and it's not as much of a runaway for Herschel Walker, because people are looking at these races as independent. So like a bunch of people voted for Kemp who aren't voting for Herschel Walker. That is good news. U.S. Senate here, 49-49. They are within 1,000 votes of one another. And Sweepy is not happy. 85.7% of the vote in, but let's look at some of these. Let me make this full screen and we can look at some of these more populated Democrat areas. Fulton County, 90.7% of the vote is in, and he's winning. Raphael Warnock, the Democrat, is winning by 50 points. If we can find here's another one. DeKalb County, winning by even a greater margin, and there's still 28% of the vote to come in. So Raphael Warnock here has an absolutely very viable chance to keep his seat, to be for the next 6 years, since this was a special election that he won, to be where he is now. There's still a real shot in my prediction. Still, I stand by it, that I think Raphael Warnock is going to win this seat. So.
I hope you are right, Jesse D, because we definitely need that to happen.
Well, what have I been wrong about so far? I mean, has there been? I mean, no. I don't mean to be a dick. I mean,
well, you didn't want to make a lot of predictions up front, so I don't really remember. We should have written them down.
Yeah, that's what we should have done. That's right.
We should have.
Somebody in the audience, somebody had to have been keeping up. Let's get a couple questions in, because I'm not too long for the world here, or for the evening. I'm long for the world.
Shout out to a super thanks, super chat.
No Elizondo, $20 super chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Seriously, it's so great.
Dre H became a new channel member. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Dee Dee became a new YouTube member. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Chad, thank you both for this. Hope you are feeling better. Hope you are feeling better, Jesse.
I'm feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
Seriously, Chad, it's remarkable. We've talked about this several times. As I did a little side boob graze. It is remarkable that on Wednesday the 19th, they sliced me open. I've got a scar that runs right through my belly button from top to bottom. And that they pulled out they sliced out 35% of my colon, and I'm back at it. I mean, from Wednesday through the Monday, and then that next Monday, I was back to work. It's medical technology and the science and the advancement of all of these techniques is just, it blows my mind. And I feel great. I feel great. I appreciate all the love and the concern and the prayers and the vibes and the positive thoughts. They've buoyed my spirits.
Absolutely. So Brian P., Jesse, and Brittany, you give a lot of hope to an old hippie Democrat living in small town Texas, surrounded by Trumpers. Help. Heal well, Jesse.
I don't know how you do it, Brian. My best friend lives in Spokane, Washington, in a conservative enclave. And I don't know what it would be like for me to live in a neighborhood where people are flying their Trump flags. It would be very disheartening and stressful. It would be anxiety inducing, I think. And I'm not a guy who's prone to anxiety. So I don't know how you do it. I think you need to surround yourself, like you probably do, with like-minded people who you love and support you. And you could be around love and unity. It's a good thing. Thanks for the super chat. We appreciate you so much. Decora Doll, $20 super chat. My boyfriend and I just voted. Good for you. Thank you. We hope to see Paul Tuss in the House from Montana. And please get Gianforte, Greg Gianforte, their current governor, former congressman who assaulted a journalist.
Ben Jacobs, right?
Ben Jacobs, that's right. Get Gianforte out. He's an absolute creep. He compared women to endangered animals as far as having forced births are concerned. I don't know that specific reference, but it does not surprise me. I would not doubt that is she's telling the truth there. Just terrible, ridiculous.
Yeah, very, very disturbing. All right, let's give a shout out to Mike Frazier, super sticker. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Mike.
Greg DeMont, super chat. Thank you so much. Awesome.
So great.
Marie M, super sticker. Thank you so much. Katie Harder, how can you say our system works at this point? I think this was a point where Katie was feeling quite low about some of the election results coming in and feeling frustrated with whether or not our system is currently working as intended.
Yeah, listen, I don't think I think our system does work as intended, and it's meant to keep white supremacy in place. A lot of people push back with the too much race talk. It's too much race talk. But our system was authored by, it was engineered by white enslavers of human beings, and they made it in such a way so progress would be difficult to achieve, whether that be the filibuster or whether that be the nonsense electoral college. And what we need to do is reimagine how we run things and elect people who are committed and brave enough to put that change and progress into place. So listen, you know, the quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice. It is long, and progress takes a long time, but we have to be patient, because you know who is patient? Republicans. They waited 50 years to overturn Roe. Every step of the way, plotting, engineering this new dystopian America that we live in. We need to match their patience. We need to match their engineering of the society we want, and we can't lose heart. We can't lose hope. We must stay the course.
So Patty Murray is the projected winner, Democrat in Washington for the Senate. According to CNN, they are projecting that Patty Murray is the winner. They also have another projection here for Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat in Oregon. So 2 Senate pickups for the Democrats.
Let me correct the 2 Senate. They were the incumbent, so we maintained those seats. We didn't lose those seats.
Yes, pickups was poor phrasing. I meant that we are just getting 2 more in the count.
It's 11-13, Brittany Page. It's 11-13.
It's 11:33.
It's 11:33. Holy shit. Crazy.
Yeah. So 3.5 hours in, and I feel like we're holding up okay.
I'm holding up okay. My voice actually, the T, listen, if you get a scratchy throat because you have this voice that comes out of your mouth when you open your face, tea works. I didn't have the lemon. I like to have a little lemon and honey in the tea because it really does do some good work on me.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier, after we did the podcast, I was very raspy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's do a quick check of where one of the race that you guys are really caring about right now is the Fetterman race. So he is still up 1.4 points, and 78% of the votes are in that race. So that's going to be another close one. Georgia, Pennsylvania, these are going to be 2 close races that we're likely not going to have an answer on tonight, I would say.
Yeah. Well, also keep in mind, especially relative to Pennsylvania, is they're not allowed to even crack the mail-in ballots until the polls close. So if I'm making a prediction here, going out on a limb, I'm gonna predict that Fetterman pulls this off. I might be wrong. Excuse me, I might be wrong, but it's bold prediction, Cotton. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, so your 2 predictions that we can then follow up on are
write 'em down.
Warnock going to win and Fetterman going to win.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We will make note of those. And let's put this one up from Vile. Just checked AP and did the math. Warnock and Walker are separated by only 700 votes at 86% reporting.
Now, again, this is important because it's only going to be telling depending on where the precincts are that the vote needs to come in. So that 14% of the vote that needs to come in, if that's in Fulton County, if that's in DeKalb County, those are going to be for Raphael Warnock. They're not going to be for Walker. So we need to rely on the population centers to bring home the win.
We also have an update here from Andrew. Hobbs is up over Lake, 51% in.
Yeah. Not good.
This is in Arizona, and Katie Hobbs is the Democrat.
Yeah. She's the current Secretary of State. And have we looked at the Masters? Let's go to, we haven't even, let me put the pictures up and then we can talk about that race with Blake Masters and literal astronaut, Mark Kelly, the husband of Gabby Gifford, the gunshot victim, the attempted assassination attempt to kill her. But let's take a look at this Masters race and see what this little fascist in training, how he is doing in that particular Senate race. As I talk my way through and bide time, U.S. Senate. Mark Kelly right now is absolutely dominating the vote. This would lead me to believe, if things keep up like this, that Kari Lake will lose. Mark Kelly, 58% to 39 to about 40%. That's an 18-point swing with nearly 50% of the vote in. Now, if we go to the population centers, actually, I'm reading it while it's not on screen. If we go to the population centers here, Phoenix, with the blue, the Democrats, not even 50% of the vote has been counted, and Mark Kelly is getting 60% of the vote, nearly. That's a big deal. Same thing with some of these other areas. So Pima County, same deal, 70%. 41% of the vote is in. I'm gonna make another prediction here. I think Mark Kelly is gonna run away with this. I know there's a lot of vote to come in still. I think Mark Kelly is gonna win, and I also think Democrat Katie Hobbs is going to win. So we'll see. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have any more information than anybody else, but I'm going with my gut.
Well, I have written these predictions down, and we will follow them so that we can determine whether or not you are able to toot your horn.
That's a flute. Isn't it more trumpet?
It all works. It all.
Look at her.
Well, we lost half the audience.
I know, right?
That.
They're like, we're getting out of here. What is this crazy? They're delirious. They've only been on the air for 3 hours.
3 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
well, we appreciate you guys. Let's get to some questions if there are some in the bank. If there's not, then we can see what's on people's minds as we filter through here. Liam Wilbur, $20 super chat. Again with Liam. Thank you for coming back. This Christian nationalism wave is the result of those of us who were raised in and stayed with the movement from birth, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, certainly that is an element of it. Obviously, the people like me and you, if you're out of it, you're not contributing to the rise in Christian nationalism. And when we say Christian nationalism, let's not kid ourselves. It is white Christian nationalism. It is evangelical. It is the culty segment of the Christian church in America. Not all Christians at all, in fact, are bigoted and believe in the antithesis of the writings of the Constitution of the United States separating church and state. But there is a movement afoot led by people like Lauren Boebert, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others who proudly proclaim themselves to be Christian nationalists and say that any Christian is a Christian nationalist. And that's not the case. It is also, people lose sight of the fact that white supremacy, real organized Nazis, neo-Nazis, racists, Aryan nation types, that there is a requirement to be Christian to be a part of that movement. When Brittany's parents took her to Aryan nations as a child, there was a giant poster board outside of the compound that listed the requirements of entry, and you had to proclaim the Christian faith. So it's part and parcel. They go hand in hand with one another.
absolutely. And 45% of Americans say that the United States should be a Christian nation. So Christian nationalism is something that we are going to be continuing to fight against.
Yes.
And is going to be a growing problem, especially with its widespread acceptance on the right at this point.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's scary and it's dangerous. And it is something that we are going to be combating for certainly a decade, but maybe a generation. And we need to steel ourselves for that particular battle. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap.
Well, it has been 3 hours and 41 minutes.
You're not like we're counting or anything.
I mean, we've been here for a while.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
The Senate is now 46 Democrats, 46 Republicans. The House is 135 Democrats, 178 Republicans, 5 pickups for the Republicans. Remember, we need 218 for control in the House. So we are hopeful for positive outcomes. Sorry, I was reading the comment that you put on the screen. And
it's $2 for my Chuck Mangione impression.
And we're hoping for the best.
See, I'm delirious. I need to go because I'm losing it. Thank you for that, Crashburn32. We appreciate the super chat very much. And the joke. We love the jokes.
We do.
Anyway, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. There's a lot of good news that's coming down. Remember those predictions that I make, so you'll remember to look for me tooting my own horn that I was right. And I'll even take my lumps if I was wrong.
And what are they? The predictions are Katie Hobbs,
Fetterman,
Kelly,
Mark Kelly, and Warnock.
Yes.
So
we'll be the winners.
So do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to my channel. If you have not yet subscribed, and I know there's hundreds of thousands of you out there who have not subscribed to Brittany's channel because it's brand new, go to I don't need the HTTP part, but go to youtube.com/@Brittany E Page and subscribe and start checking out her content. Her plan right now is to do 3, you could say it, it's my voices.
3 videos a week, aiming for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on topics that I am most passionate about, which are advocacy, activism, politics, psychology, may even interview people that I want to talk to. We'll see what happens. And I am taking topic suggestions in the comments as well. So definitely come check it out and move the conversation forward, as we say on the channel. I would love to have you.
Subscribe to our podcast, I Doubt It podcast. You can get that on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere that podcasts are. You can also just go to dollemore.com and listen and subscribe there. We love you guys. Follow us on social media. I am at Dollemore. She is at Brittany E Page. And we'd love to see you there. We love you guys. We appreciate you very much. As I talk my way out of here, we'll see you next time. I'll be back tomorrow with videos, and I really hope to see you there. Be genuine. Take care.